Hey, 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 how's it going? How's everybody doing on this extremely hot Friday? It is way too goddamn warm, and I wish it would not. It is the warmest that I have been in a while. Hope everyone's surviving the heat wave. It's ridiculous here. We got home, Steph and I were on vacation after Yeticon, and we came home last night, and it was so hot. It was like 10 p.m. and I'm like, oh no, it's way too hot. It was also raining like crazy yesterday. Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Earth to Alice 95 just resubscribed for 22 months. Lurk no audio, on the road RN but high less than 3.
Hi Alice, thank you for the lurky lurk and the 22 entire months. That is an incredible amount of months. That's almost 2 years. That's like, that's a number I don't even have fingers for. Fingers and toes, I can't count that high. Thank you so much, I really appreciate it. Enjoy your road lurk. I'll see you soon, probably. I hope the road's not too hot and that you got your AC on, because it's a lot. But yeah, Yeticon was so much fun. I've been away for a week. Yes. Does it sound good to you? I disabled the webcam thing from last time, so it shouldn't be. Oh, you mean your audio is off? Yeah. No, I figured you meant that you were just lurky quiet. You're good. Steph, I think, is just checking because like last time my audio was in a weird. You're good. You are good, Alice. There we go. But yeah. Portal voice? Oh, the alert. That's probably because it's coming out of my laptop real loud right into the mic. That's the problem with me not wearing headphones. I should probably get like an in-ear monitor or something, but I cannot be arsed. But yeah, because my laptop's there and y'all are there, and the mic's right above the camera because that's where I'm at. If I had a real actual streaming setup, this would be, I wouldn't have to redo the audio every time. But I stream off a laptop, so it's a nightmare. It's all good. One of these days I'll get myself a place where Steph can have an office and I can have like a dedicated like photo studio and streaming room, and that would be awesome. But until that day, I stream in the living room off my laptop because doing it in my room means I have to clean my room every fucking time I want to stream, and I have a pile of like clothes to donate and sell. Water is good. Water is good. Water is life. But yes, I have a pile of things to share when we get there, and a bunch of photos to share and stuff. But Yeticon was a blast. Yeah. I might still be here in 4 hours. We'll see. But at the very least, you can follow my raid at that point if I'm not. Yeah, Sec. I have a huge pile of clothes. I have some like dresses that don't really work with. Oh, my laptop's dying. That would be a thing to fix. I have a bunch of like dresses that don't fit me anymore because, you know, a lot of dresses expect titties and I don't have titties anymore. I also have like stuff that doesn't fit just because I got them. Like, I still have a lot of clothes from like high school or like early university, or that I got when I was struggling with the good old gastroparesis real bad. So now that I have actual functional muscles and I'm not starving, A lot of clothes don't fit anymore. That was a school bus that just went by. In the before times, yeah. So I have a bunch of stuff that like doesn't fit. Some of it I'm selling through like anything that I think is like cool. I'm slowly selling through the Doll Funeral Gloom like in-person store. They do like secondhand clothing sale stuff. My brain is melting from the heat. But so like some of it I'm selling, and like I'm not selling it for like a massive profit, just a little bit to be able to kind of offset that I had to buy new clothes now that I'm, you know, healthier. So yeah, I think there was one dress I sold that like I had barely worn that many times. It's a gorgeous dress, but you know, it's a corset dress, and I sold it for like $100. And I think we bought it for like 150. It was like this beautiful, like long black lace dress that was in like near mint condition. So like, I'm selling things pretty cheaply. I think I sold a corset for like $20. It's a good way to make your situation better. Yeah. So like, I'm not expecting to sell like all of my stuff. And there's definitely been friends of mine who are also like sex workers or other performers that I've like, we've just done like clothing swaps or like I'll just donate. Cause like sex workers, we do a lot of like lingerie swaps and stuff. And I'm like, you know, there's people with boobs that could use these bras that I can no longer wear. So like, it's been some donating, some selling, some clothing swap, and not trying to flip your wardrobe for a profit. Yeah, it's just like secondhand stuff, and like the stuff I'm selling secondhand, it's through a friend's store that I'm like trying to support. And like, she also doesn't take like a massive upcharge. She just lets you price it whatever you want, and she adds like a small percentage. So, it's been good. But yeah, having that huge pile in a box in the middle of my bedroom makes it difficult to stream out of there. And also like, I've also got a pile of stuff to fold and put away because it takes me forever to do that. Eventually I'll be a person who, my room is just not a mess, and then I can stream from my room again. Makes things interesting. Yeah. And like the Gloom stores, like Doll Funeral's great because like they're really nice, well-made dresses, and having a space where you can try stuff on, especially if you're like trans or non-binary or gender non-conforming and trying a dress for the first time, or you're plus size and you're not really sure how they're gonna fit because it goes up to 6XL. So like it's good to be able to like try stuff on in person if you can. And then there's a lot of like local creators that sell like accessories and shoes and like jewelry they've made and crowns and artwork, and yeah, so there's all sorts of stuff. And that makes me really happy that there's like a space where people can like, because like not everyone can afford like an in-person store, but having like a spot where we can all like share our art together is like really, really fun. And speaking of a spot to share all art together, that's kind of what Yeticon is for me. Like, it's the only convention I go to just because I'm not really into the like convention hall style thing, because it's just like a big empty warehouse room filled with stuff that they're trying to sell me. So I don't tend to do like convention hall cons, and I don't like traveling, especially to the US. So Yeticon's like my one convention of the year, and it's lovely because it's almost entirely filled with cosplayers because it's like outside and you have plenty of space. So Yeticon's my favorite. And it's also like a vacation con too, so people are usually pretty chill, pretty relaxed about things. And I had a blast this weekend. So I went with Steph, Lucy Lynx, who has modeled with me before. I'm pretty sure most of y'all know her. Their partner, and then my other partner, Salt, True Salt King. And we all went down on Friday afternoon. Salt drove us all, and it took a while. Not looking forward to moving back to the US? Yeah, because you've been in Europe, which sounds quite a bit nicer. Even just the food there has to be better. But yeah, we made it later to the convention than we meant to. I think we got to Yeticon around like 6-ish. There are pros and cons for both sides. Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. Sup nerds, what's up Andrew? How's it going? How you doing? Hope you're staying cool and welcome on in. It's good to see you. Just starting to talk about stuff and catching up because it's been a while. It's been a while. How's your week been? Nerds, hey Cans, welcome in. How you doing? Hope you're staying cool. Toronto is hell right now. It's so hot. Which is the only thing that explains why my hair isn't like dripping wet. Doing job applications, yeah, I hope those are going well. The job market is ass right now. And the weather is ass, just everything is ass. And normally I'm pro ass, but not currently. Eating right now? Hell yeah. Eating anything tasty? It's really bad? Yeah. I think I was watching a TikTok earlier today and it was talking about the updates to the job market and stuff. And there's like a couple more thousand jobs, but that was actually a net loss of full-time jobs for a slight increase in part-time jobs. And we have more people looking for jobs than before. It's terrible. All I want to do is raw. It turns out that's not good for my mental health. Yeah. I mean, I also, especially in the heat, all I want to do is just like fucking lay down and sleep. I do not like doing things when it's this hot. Chicken curry and flatbread. That sounds really good. I have bread for lunch. Bread and applesauce because I am approximately 7. But chicken curry sounds real good. Make me hungry. I just ate. But yeah, the heat's the only reason why my hair is not soaking wet. Normally it takes my hair probably like 7 or 8 hours to dry. And it's already pretty dry. I had my shower like an hour and a half ago. All I want to do is lie in bed where there's AC and play Slay the Spire on my stream deck. Yeah. I'm at least, there's AC in my apartment. So like I'm not too bad, but yeah, I do not want to go outside in the foreseeable future. And like I struggled sleeping last night. I just could not get to sleep. I was like butt naked with like, I have this like mesh robe for work that I use as a blanket in the summer because I overheat. So it gives me the feeling of having a blanket on my shoulders without any of the warmth of having a blanket on my shoulders. And then I misted myself with water all night. The job market's another reason that I'm not looking forward to moving back to the US. Yeah, it's a bad time. It's a real bad time. I can't imagine the US is like that much better than Toronto right now. Just everything sucks right now. That's good. I've just been saving with the linen top sheet. Yeah, that also sounds like a good idea. My top sheet is fairly warm, and I've got a big thick duvet that is a hassle to get on and off my bed because I have a million stuffed animals and a body pillow and like 6 other cushions. So I just lay on top of my duvet with just like a little thing. Yeah, it's just too fucking hot. And yeah, my hair, I had my shower at like 1 o'clock, and like you can already see it's like, it's not like dry, but the front's dry, just not normal. Linen is great and it's better in the summer versus cotton, even if it feels a little rough at first. Yeah, I have a couple like linen shirts and linen dresses and stuff, and it's so nice. Linen is fantastic. I should probably just get like summer bed sheets rather than just my like winter stuff, and then just swap it. But you can also see, because my hair's drying so fast, you can actually see I do have very wavy hair. It's just the bleach and the weight of how long it is like flattens it. It's gonna be 100 tomorrow for me, and I'm expecting to have rolling blackouts. Well, rolling blackouts isn't good. I'm gonna look up what 100 is in not freedom units. I don't know what that means. Basically yeah, it says, Google says 37.7. That's unacceptable. That's hotter than here. Like, it's like our temperature the past 2 days. Today's been slightly lower. Yeah. Where I was, it was pretty hot. But after Yeticon, I spent a couple days at my parents' house, and their basement is freezing cold. To the point where, like, we were actually, like, too cold, which is nice. And my current job asked for my phonetic pronunciation, which is nice, so I put in Robert. Job application, yeah. That's really funny. I struggle with that because people constantly ask me how to pronounce Azura, and I'm like, it's Azura, and people will be like, Azura, and I'm like, I mean, you're buzzing the Z a bit more, but like, I guess Azura, yeah. I don't know, like, I don't even really care if people mispronounce my name, honestly. I've gotten some wild mispronunciations where people just like read it and see a different word somehow. I've also had people misspell my name while looking at my name written down. I'm like, how? If you become a furry, you'd be putting the zoo in Azura. Oh my god. We're in solid concrete buildings with no airflow. Oh my god, lack of airflow is the worst. I've done background acting in like concrete buildings without airflow, and not in 40-degree heat, just like normal ass temperatures, and that's still awful. I am so sorry. You must be like a puddle right now. Yeah. It's just, it's too hot. Too hot at all. AC is working for now. Okay, that's good at least. That's good, because my goodness, I could not imagine 40 Celsius, 100 degrees without AC. That would be awful. I can't even, like, to be honest, like, I have heart medication that I have to take at like 27 degrees is when I start kind of needing it. And, yeah. Solid concrete is good for sound usually, but awful for heat or if you need to drill into the wall. Yeah, I think this sidewall is concrete, and drilling, shelves into it has been a nightmare. Blackouts will hit tomorrow my time around noon. I'm sorry, because blackout means no AC, which is unhelpful. Though for anyone struggling with heat that doesn't have access to good AC or any AC, like my usual trick, because 2020, when we first moved in here, this place didn't come with air conditioning, and I take heart medication at 27 degrees, so when it's like 42, I'm physically unwell. Thank you, Steph. But yeah, I'm very unwell, and I have to manage my overheating really carefully. So like, putting your hands and feet in like under the cold tap to cool your hands and feet down will help with your circulation a lot. Cold bath, cold shower, misting yourself with water, especially because I don't sweat, so like I have no way of cooling off, but just like wet hair, being as wet as possible, ice water in a humidifier. That's just blowing ice water around, or ice water in front of a fan if you don't have an AC. And the other stuff I've done. It sucks trying to manage your body temp. Yeah, because like without sweating, there's really nothing I can do. Once I'm hot, and I can't actually. I'm essentially cold-blooded, except for I produce my own body heat, so it's even worse. But yeah, I definitely try not to be outside for very long, and once I'm warm, I try and just like get water on my body as quickly as possible. But yeah, also hydrate as much as you can, pee frequently. I did have someone call, I don't remember who it was, but someone called sweating your skin pissing. It's like the most gross way of putting that. Can't, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry that I've inflicted that on more people, because it is genuinely the worst. You're like, oh man, sorry my shirt's damp, I just, my skin had to piss. It's so awful. The shit that, like I didn't even come up with that. Someone just said that to me, probably because they knew that my brain would just get stuck on that, like, immediately. Yeah. Bah. Oh my god, my back hurts so goddamn bad. Ow. I will say, sleeping in a hotel, not great for my back. I have a stockpile of water pre-chilled and a few frozen. That's good. Ice packs are also fantastic. I tend to have rotating ice packs, like to put on the back of my neck and stuff. Ad breaks are coming, so I'm probably not gonna say anything too important. It's so goddamn hot. Whee! Oh god. And it's also been storming like crazy too. Murph. Post-consumerism landscape, yes. I wish I didn't have to run ads, but I do. So I just I roll them enough that they don't interrupt for too long, and I try not to have pre-rolls. There we go, there's an ad break. But yeah, my entire goal with ads is to just, because Twitch runs them. Bezos apparently needs me to run ads. So I have them as short as I can, like in short chunks so that they're not interrupting for too long at a time. And so there's no pre-roll, so when people come in, they're not like fucking throwing 3 minutes of ads. But do definitely, I guess I'll repeat this when the ad's actually over, but if you find it better to do less frequent, longer ads, let me know, because I can also do that. I've just sort of set it like this so it's, I think, less disruptive. Especially because we're doing like just chatting, so it's not like I can just not say anything massively important for 30 seconds. A minute and a half. Old school disaster. I mean, Jeff Bezos is an old school disaster flick, that's for sure. Heyo, welcome back. Welcome back. You didn't miss anything. I was just talking about the ads that I try and have them, like, there's a certain amount you have to run per hour to not have pre-rolls, because I don't like people being blasted with ads the minute they come in, because that's really frustrating. Like, I know when I go into a chat, if it's just immediately ads, I'm like, oh god, I don't even know what's happening. So like, I try not to have pre-rolls, and then I've spaced them out so that they're short, but more frequent, so that you're only disrupted for like a minute and a half at a time rather than like a solid chunk. But I can also do longer ad breaks less frequently. Like, you guys let me know what like works best for you. I'm just sort of sticking with kind of more of a default thing. At the very least, do not have pre-rolls. But yes, so the weekend was great. I think I'm gonna like dive into the Yeticon stuff now, just because otherwise I'm just gonna yap about the heat for $1 billion or a billion. I read cost of doing business for USEC, and instead of saying 1 billion years, I say $1 billion. That's where my head's at. I am melting. But yeah, so Yeticon was great. We arrived Friday night, checked in a little bit later than we were expecting to, so I originally was gonna do Angel Dust that night, but there was a like a night parade that was all lit up, so I had like last minute when we were leaving, I shoved my Generation Lost cosplay in there because it's the easiest light up cosplay to bring with me somewhere, and I already had jeans and shit, so I'm like, okay, whatever, I already have half of it. I forgot that Angel Dust was a I'm sorry. No, I was bringing Angel Dust the character, not the substance. I'm a Satanist, I don't do that. Jesus Christ. But no, so I didn't do Angel that night. I did Generation Loss and did the I know the context. I did the march, which was really fun. And you know what? I'm just gonna share photos of stuff as we talk, so you can kind of like, I can give y'all a sense of things. That might be easier than just me just yapping at you. Oh my god. And I mean, I was like, that's cool, substance neutrality and all that. I mean, I tend to not casually discuss drugs on Twitch without having the tag on it. And I also don't... The most I do... yeah, TOS. I occasionally do legal substances for pain. Things that I'm allowed to do that have been prescribed by my doctor. Like Tylenol. Not even joking, I take Tylenol every morning. And then I have additional things for if my pain gets worse, which it usually doesn't. But, but yeah, so I am going to share y'all some pictures of how things went. Hell yeah. So this is like when we got there. I'm gonna have to like share pictures in chunks because they're not really in order on my computer. But so this is when we got to Yeticon. This is the lake to the side of the village and some of the other hotels. The weather, that very Hotel from The Shining, yeah. But the weather was beautiful. It was not hot that weekend. Thank goodness, because we all would have burnt more than we did. It was a little cool for some of the cosplays, but that's better than the like overheating that could have happened. Especially like a lot of people running around doing cosplays and photo shoots, the last thing you want is for everyone to be getting heat stroke. So it was, and it was honestly, it was warmer than some previous Yeticons because it wasn't horrifically windy or raining. So like honestly, the weather was like more or less perfect. Let me see if this'll. Sorry, it's autoplay. Stop. I don't want you to autoplay. Stop autoplay. But this is when I got there, getting into the hotel room. I'm sure you can hear this. It doesn't super matter, but you'll hear this over the background music, I'm sure.
Sup, Yeticon? I'm here. Yeah. Palms right there. Convention hall's right there. So excited.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, that was the view from my hotel room. So like, let me see if I can back that ass up real quick.
Sup, yeah.
Yeah, so like, that picture of the lake, that lake's like right here, and that's like that hotel. This is sort of like the middle of everything. Just so you get kind of like a sense of the scale, is like that's that pond, and the little like dock I was on was like right there. So that's that. Oh, this is gonna also autoplay. I am sorry. But I had to keep Angie somewhere, so she got her own little drawer. And because, you know, I can't just do things normally and have her on a shelf or something. But part of that was because Salt was terrified of her. So I'm just like, you know what? So that Salt doesn't have to deal with her like on a shelf in the, because he was staying on the pull-out couch in the main room. So that they like didn't have to deal with like waking up and seeing this cursed doll first thing in the morning. I was like, you know what? Let's just give her her own drawer. Just her own goddamn drawer. So that's kind of how that went. And then this was on my way out to the night march. Oh my god, please don't go big. So that was me doing my Gen Lost cosplay because the lights were good for the march, little parade. And so we explored the village a little bit. This cosplay is also like real easy to wear and real comfortable. So with how cold it was that night, I was glad to be in jeans and like a jacket. Also, part of the reason I brought it was because the Generation Lost Director's Cut, or Founder's Cut, came out, I think the next morning after this. Because it came out that weekend. I still haven't seen it yet because I've been astoundingly busy. I have hiccups and I hate it. But so I did that, and now the rest should be in order, more or less. But, so, that's Lucy. That's Diva. That's us, the pond, on our way, just wandering around looking at stuff. It was so fun just to like be with my friends all weekend. Like the 5 of us spent so much time together, and like you gotta be good friends with someone to be able to spend that much time in a room together. You've heard of Elf on a Shelf, now get ready for Angie and get ready for Angie. Yes, get ready for Angie. But yeah, it was like Lucy and Salt and Lucy's partner are all so lovely, and it was. You have a rhyming dictionary for Angie open. That's really funny. But yeah, all of Lucy's cosplays were so incredible all weekend, and she I think got the gun and the suit, but like they did their own makeup and made this headset themselves and like painted it themselves. Like I thought they bought it, but she didn't. She like I think got like the 3D printed pieces and then like put it all together and painted it themselves, and I'm very, very proud. It looks so goddamn good. And then after that we went to the night march, which this will probably autoplay. Just us walking around. And I need to tell you, those guys back, so that's Podgkin is like a VTuber, and they are great. I'm actually gonna do a little I'm pretty sure it's that one. I'm just gonna double check. I'm gonna double check what the fucking username is. But Podge is great, and I've known Podge's sister for a really, really, really long time. And I've also Podgkin's the one who 3D printed my super crown for Bouzette. Yeah, that's correct. So that's Podgkin. They are great. They also do streaming on a different website. And they do VTubing as a like little like gremlin goblin, and they're great. So that's Podgkin up there, and then all those guys. Whoa, where my fucking mouse go? All those guys there. These guys, fucking frame. Pick a frame and then like don't be blurry. So all those guys were all like cosplaying henchmen, and they were so funny because they were all like Ginyu Force like posing together and marching together, and they, oh my god, they were funny. They had like chants together. They just chant evil as they were marching. They were so much fun. And yeah, Lucy's cosplays were so on point. Like they did such a good job. We did Goth IHOP together, which I'll show you some stuff. And their Pomni was incredible. It's based off a manga where a Power Ranger villain got defeated and the henchmen got left behind. Oh, that's really funny. Because they were hilarious. They made the parade so much more fun. Like, it was already fun, but God, it was more fun. So that was a whole fun time. And then the next day, I woke up and I was Donna with Angie the whole day, and let me tell you, she is heavy, and my arms were killing me. Like that night and the next morning, like my biceps on both arms were just like, from like carrying, because I'm carrying her one-handed. Yeah, the eye flower. You'll get, I think, better shots of it when I'm not selfieing, because it's really hard to do a selfie with one eye. But yeah, just because I have to carry her in one arm and just keep switching, otherwise my arms get like really tired. But I think I was in her from like noon until like 5 o'clock. I was in her like all day, and like with the doll the whole time. My arms hurt so bad. Also, let me tell you, I scared so many children in this cosplay. So like, Yeticon's at Blue Mountain Resort, which is open to everybody. It's not just the convention, and it's in rural southern Ontario, so not like downtown Toronto. When there's conventions, if people are dressed up weird, people in the city are kind of used to that and they don't really react. They're like, whatever. in small town folk are not really prepared. They've started to get more used to things, like the staff know that we're coming and they're all cool, but there's also a lot of like families on vacation there that really didn't know what was going on. There was a lot of normies this year, more than any other year. Last year there was quite a few, but they were mostly like bachelor and bachelorette parties. This year was a lot of families, a lot of families. And they had no idea what was happening. And there was some parents that were like kind of like pushing their kids to take photos with the cosplayers and stuff, which was really cute. But in my case, like the kids were very clearly terrified and didn't want to be anywhere near like Angie specifically. I didn't really bother them as much, but the doll was really annoying for them. Like there were little kids that would like be beside their parents and like holding on to them, and like they'd like look up at me and like hide. It was really cute, but like I felt bad just a little bit. I remember when Gray had their latex 2B at Yeti. Yeah. I mean, the benefit is for like some of the skimpier cosplays is that like there's so many pools and stuff that people are running around in bathing suits anyway, so that's less of an issue. But like I know with Gray's 2B is like with the like wig and the eye patch is that like they really can't see anything. And like I've had cosplays at Yeti where I really can't see. And I will say, walking around outside, you need a handler a lot more than in a convention hall. Like it's dangerous to walk around. Gray was one of the only people that I know was there that I didn't run into a single time. I think I saw them from a distance once. Just we never ran into each other, like at all. And when they were doing their panel, I was busy shooting. Though I'm very proud of them. They made a still suit from Dune, and they made it out of shoe rubber so that you could chuck them down a sandy hill and it would be durable and fine, so it's all practical. And they won an award for that cosplay too, which I'm very deserved. I think of everyone I know who makes cosplays, they put in more effort than anyone else I know, except for maybe MJ, who does also a lot of work into like fabric craft and stuff. But Gray's like prop work and stuff is so amazing. Hi, Saul. I'm sorry your favorite girl's on screen with me. Hi, how's it going? Hope you're not overheating too bad. You'll survive. I mean, we'll see. You do still have her, don't you? We'll see if you survive. It's better today? That's good. You have her and a bunch of she hasn't killed you yet. That's because she knows I like you. So, if anything, she'll kill people who bother you, because that's what I would want her to do. So, and I made her. Well, good, yeah. But yeah, so the kids were very upset for the most part. There was a couple kids that were like okay with it. Like one little girl was like really excited to take photos with me. I'll message you offline. I'll figure I'll come by sometime this weekend. Yeah, I'll be home all weekend, so yeah, just let me know. Yeah, so like I was out shooting and you could see how freaking bright it was. I couldn't see anything. Imagine you're having a knockdown, drag out verbal argument with someone and then just Angie chest bursts out of them. That would be terrifying. Or not even chest bursting, she just like floats out from behind them. You'd be like, I'm good, I'm done. I'm not gonna fight you anymore. No, thank you. But I will say all of the other cosplayers, we were all pretty good about sharing space for shoots. And like there was someone standing by this rock before me, and we just kind of patiently waited slightly off to the side, and like we swapped off pretty quickly, like any of the really fun shoot spaces around. And this year I think was one of the best years for like shooting, because the resort security calmed down and understood that like we're not gonna break anything, we're just gonna delicately stand next to things. That's all we're gonna do. We're in weird, cumbersome, awkward clothing. We're not gonna damage anything. And in fact, there was one point where I was taking a photo with the like, there's a big like blue mountain sign that's all just the letters for blue at the one end of the lake. And I was taking photos with them. There's a big sign next to it that says "Don't climb on the letters." And I'm just standing in front of it taking photos. But like all of the normies are like letting their kids like climb up on it and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, resorts, weird nerds are gonna follow the rules more than like random ass families actually. Like we're not the ones to worry about. If we're making art, we're not gonna damage the thing because we wanna make art with it next year. So, but yeah, it was horrifically bright. I'm very glad I only needed to open one eye. And it was also really funny because I had the flower on this eye and then my like light sensitive contact in the other eye. So when I took the fucking flower off my eye at the end of the night, when I went to go change, the pupil differences were intense. I looked like I had heterochromia because this eye was black and this eye was my normal blue. And the pupil on this eye was just like a pinprick, and this one was huge. So I looked ridiculous. I also did a bikini version of Donna because I'm silly, and when you're at Yeticon, you do bikini versions of a cosplay. You just do. That's a rule. You have to. So, you might be wondering like, hey, that's a lovely bikini, but it's just florals. I got that bikini, it's a Gloom bikini. You can get like whatever print you want with that cut. And I love this one because it like, the top, really flattering for a flat chest because I don't have like, that bikini doesn't need to make it like fit correctly. I'm sure it still looks good with boobs, but like it's really hard to find anything more than just like a triangle top bikini that like suits a flat chest fairly well. And I love this, and it also suits my ridiculous waist to hip ratio. So like I love this bikini. But the reason I picked this one is because those flowers have eyes in them, and there's also teeth. And I'm like, that is the most fitting bathing suit I could think of for Donna Beneviento. Because I've got, you know, flower in my eye, eyes in my flowers. You know, it just makes sense. Just things that make sense, you know? And I have to say, nothing makes me feel more fucking beautiful than having a body horror flower going out of my eye. If I could have a weird rose growing out of my eyeball all the time, I would. But it is a little bit of, it's not difficult to glue it to my eye, and it's not uncomfortable having it on my eye. The only problem with having a rose glued in your eye is when the wind catches it and tries to rip it off, and then the stem on the other side, instead of, because normally it's from like a vine. So normally the stem just sits right here in this hollow next to my eye, but when it's windy, it kind of pushes it into my eye and I have to fucking hold it. That part's irritating. But I will say, when I went out to the hot tub to shoot the bikini, that is when I had the best experience with a child that I have had almost in my entire life. It was incredible. Yeah, it's not great having the stem in my eye. It's the corner of my eye. I'm careful. And I promise you it's not like, it's just like, it's not as bad as it sounds. It's just irritating. But yeah, so I went downstairs to shoot this because I did all my shoot in the regular cosplay, and then I went downstairs to the hot tub to shoot, and I have some really cute photos we took of me like in the hot tub with Angie on the side with her feet in and me just like holding her like she's like a little kid that's like gonna jump in the pool. It's really cute because she's completely waterproof because I made her. But I'm like sitting there like posing with the creepy doll and like Steph's taking photos of me and I'm in a bikini and this little boy who couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 years old. He was like baby sized. He was tiny. And he looks over at me and then goes to his mom and is like, oh, that boy has a zombie doll. That guy has a zombie doll and a flower in his eye. And I'm like, hey, he thinks my creepy doll is cool. And he gendered me in the most affirming way possible. I'm like, I'm in a bikini and getting he-himmed by a child. I am so pleased right now. That's like the happiest I've been to be exposed to a child. Yeah! Yeah, that was really nice. I got he-himmed in a bikini. The kids are alright. Like, I can put up with so much Phantom Tax and Skibbity Toilet. The entire generation was saved by this one child. I'm like, I don't care what the rest of y'all do. This one's great. And the mom was having a bit of a rough time. She was like overheating in the hot tub, but the kid just wanted to keep playing, and she was just like, I'm so hot and I just want to go inside. I'm so tired. But he was a delight. He was just like so happy, and he wasn't like splashing or anything. He was just sort of like happily just sitting there. He was adorable. And then when I watched like 45 minutes of Skibbity Toilet recently, and it's honestly just new school Roadrunner cartoons. You know what? That makes sense, actually. If that's what it is, I'm honestly not even mad. The like weird words make me feel old. But like Roadrunner cartoons are classic. Honestly, I would just if I had a Gen Alpha child, which I do not and will never have, I would just be like, oh, you like Skibbity Toilet? Here, have some Roadrunner too. Like, similar or whatever. I imagine those kids would like Roadrunner cartoons. It's this endless arms race done in Source, presumably Gary's mod. I will say it does look like Gary's mod. I think the only thing I've seen of it was like G-Man's head in a toilet. I think. Everything I know about Skibbity Toilet, I've learned against my will. I've not sought any of this information. I just get it sometimes. No matter how things are different, some things stay the same. Yeah. It does make me feel very weird that kids who like were born after Half-Life 2 came out consuming this. Yeah, I guess. I'd rather that though, and like them know, like there's still kids who play Prop Hunt, and stuff. So like, I'd rather that than them like pretend like older stuff isn't fun. Like, I know our stuff's dated, but like every time like there's an engagement where like they're engaging with older media and like enjoying it, and when like we can engage in like their younger stuff, I think like breaking down those like cross-generational divides is better than not. It's like I remember being so excited waiting for Half-Life 2's release as a teen. Yeah, I remember Half-Life 2 mainly because it came with Portal. Because I didn't give a shit about Half-Life. I cared about Portal. Portal was my jam. My Chell cosplay is actually the first cosplay I ever made that was like meant to be a cosplay and not just like a Halloween costume. Cannot complain too much. I grew up on Newgrounds. Yeah, see, that's the thing though. Thank you, Steph. I appreciate. I've got my other windows up, so I'm not looking at all of the things. I've got the wrong window up, so it's not giving me notifications. This is the downside to streaming on a freaking laptop. I don't have enough monitor space. Because the monitor I'm capturing for you all is actually my TV. Because it's the only monitor that's like big enough for me to like see chat on if I like for the streams where I do rope. Because like I can't see chat on the computer. It's like this big. But over there it's huge. Welcome back. But yeah, I like not having generational divides and having people like enjoy stuff together. Like the only time where I'm like questioning stuff like that is when I see that there was definitely not adults cosplaying Angel Dust last weekend, and I was less enthused about that. I don't really mind that like teenagers specifically are like watching Has Been Hotel. Like there's adult jokes, but honestly so does The Simpsons. My issue is that maybe someone under the age of 18 probably shouldn't cosplay a porn star. That's like a step where I'm like, that's a problem. Because if people engage with your cosplay expecting you to act in character, that's the problem. Whereas like when I cosplay Angel Dust, if someone engages with me expecting me to act like the character, like obviously not like with harassment, but being like, you know, there was, we'll get to some pictures where like I'm taking pictures in cosplay with people, but like, you know, within boundaries, when people are like, oh, you're like sexy, I'm like, yeah, don't do that to I have issues with little kids or teenagers cosplaying like very clearly adult characters that are like adult, you know. There's like a point where it becomes a problem. But yeah, shooting this cosplay was a lot of fun, and then yeah, there's baggage associated with that, like especially because it's like someone who's a sex worker. It's like anyone who's like a sex worker, or like their whole shtick is that they're into sex or they're really horny or whatever. It's like there's some complications in having a teenager cosplay that character, right? Like a teenager cosplaying Nifty, sure. There's a line and there's tons of debate over where the line is, but I also feel like that's over the line. Yeah, like I'm overall very permissive. Like my line is probably way more lenient than most, but usually I'm like, maybe don't cosplay a character that is inherently sexual when you're a minor, especially in mixed company. Like if you're around adults, I would feel less weird if it was like someone going to high school in a costume for like a costume party or something and they were only around other teenagers. That would feel less weird to me. It's still a little odd that you're cosplaying like a porn star. For me, I don't think necessarily that they're a bad person. I'm just worried about their safety, because of how other people are going to react to it. And I don't want to get into a like, well, you deserved it because of what you were wearing. I don't think that's true, but I just think that there's like, it becomes difficult in like mixed spaces, and there's a risk that's being taken that I don't necessarily think is fair, you know? Especially because like you won't necessarily know how old someone is. Like you see someone in an Angel Dust cosplay and figuring out whether they're 19 or 17 is complicated. But all that's to say, I got to go to a meetup, which is the first time I've gotten to do that. Cosplay meetups are a thing like I've always wanted to go to, but I often cosplay characters that don't get recognized very much. I will say I did actually get recognized from Gen Loss 2 different times. There was someone that was in like Ronbo's like VTuber model cosplay that came up and was very sweet and very excited to see me in my cosplay at the parade. And then when I was getting dinner, there was someone else who was like, I know what that is. And I had a fun time telling them that, like, if you Google Ronbo's name, I'm the one who shows up first, not them. So that was really funny. But yeah, for like Donna and Angie, I got recognized by a couple other Resident Evil cosplayers. There was someone who they also cosplay as the Dimitrescu daughters sometimes, who recognized me. There was an Ashley, a Leon, an Ada. There's like a couple Resident Evil cosplayers, mostly from Resident Evil 4, that like recognized me, and that was really fun. Angel Dust, people like recognize me, but like most of my cosplays are not. I don't really get to do meetups that much, or I just like don't know they're happening. But this year there was a wedding meetup, kind of as a joke to poke fun at all of the wedding parties that happened last year. So we all showed up in wedding dresses. So because Angie's already in a wedding dress, I did Donna in my wedding dress. This is when I maybe should have put sunscreen on my shoulders because I now have like a little bit of a sunburn. But it was nice having my bouquet in my eye and not having to carry it, though I had to carry Angie. Yeah, this was really, really fun. So I went out to the meeting and I was the first one there, but I met a really, really nice power cosplayer. She was really sweet. And we spent a bunch of time together. And we were some of the first ones there. And I will say that's when I got my first bit of merch. So like I have my Yeticon bracelet. But then when we met up for the you can still pull off a dress. Thank you. I do like wearing dresses, as long as it's, you know, fits correctly. But that wedding dress is like one of my favorites, even though the blood stains I got out pretty well, all things considered. But yeah, when we showed up to the wedding dress meetup, the organizer was handing out bracelets. And I don't know if you're gonna be able to read this because it's probably flipped, but it's like a charm bracelet, and it says Yeticon. It's so funny. So I had this on the whole time. Just Yeticon. You know how it be. Mowage. What brings us together. Woo wah. Someone did like half of that speech too while we were there. That was very funny. But yeah, so I met a power cosplayer. You always need to have your dress fitted properly. Yeah, that one's actually like a secondhand vintage one. But I had the zipper in the back replaced with grommets by a friend, so I could lace it with ribbon. So it's pretty much custom, like it'll always kind of fit. So that helps. I also saw this Chain Chompette cosplayer who had like a Chain Chomp bouquet, which was so fun. And yeah, there's like a bunch of really, really cool cosplays for the wedding thing. This is actually Podgen again, dressed as Nifty, who I just got a photo with because I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna see you after, because they had a panel after this, so I'm like, oh, I'll just get a picture of you because I don't know if I'll see you when I'm in Angel Dust later. But their cosplay was really, really good. And then we get into the group photos, which was a fun time. So we've got some Bridezillas, which was fun. Another Nifty. That's actually my friend Paul, Paul Hillier. He's a photographer, #1 cosplay photographer in Canada, which he hates when you say. Dressed as Cloud, and I think that's Ghost. Like, there's a bunch of folks in here. There's like a raptor bride. We have a King Kong groom. But this was such a fun meetup. I'm not sharing like every photo I have, but just a few of them. There's Paul flexing. But yeah, this was really, really fun. And I'm just fucking plopped in the middle because I'm like, well, I have more mobility in my dress than a lot of these other people, so I'm just gonna sit on the ground, and also that means I could just set Angie down a little bit. And I wasn't in heels, which helped. But this was like a really fun time to just like hang out and chat with folks. And what you don't see is this is your view looking at us. Our view looking out was just like a sea of people with cameras. Just, there must have been like 3 times as many photographers as there was us. And that's us all like pretending to like punch the grooms. There's like 2 of them, so we're all just like throwing hands. It's me punching. It's very hard to see. And Paul in that dress was having a rough time, so I had him lean on me a little bit. And Dan, what's after the wedding? Oh yeah, I found a really nice like Poison Angel Dust cosplayer. They looked fantastic. They did like an incredible job on theirs. Especially like their wig and stuff. Yeah, everyone's cosplay was so dang good. But here you can like get a sense of like what the crowds were like. It's packed. And just like people everywhere. It was so crowded, and I'm so glad it wasn't hotter than it actually was. It was so sunny. And then I did Goth IHOP. I only did that for a little bit. We did a shoot with Lucy, and then Steph did Femboy Hooters. Yeah, there was plenty of shade, which was nice, and lots of grass to sit in and stuff. Hi. Yeah, the Goth IHOP was really, really fun. And I just threw this outfit together while I was packing. I'm like, I couldn't think of what to wear. So I'm like, what's the most, like, I don't know, stereotypical goth outfit I could think of? And I'm like, okay, fishnet. So I have to wear my fishnet bolero, fishnet leggings, and I need to wear a skirt. I'm like, oh, I can do... I was originally going to wear another skirt, but it was going to be like covered too much by the apron, and I needed to wear something that I could actually walk out in the con in. So I've got a suspender skirt with a bralette over everything, that's got like skeleton hands flipping you off. That's from Shein, actually, from forever ago, before I realized that place sucks. And then I have a lace overskirt over top of so it's like the suspender skirt and then a lace overskirt on top of it. And I wore New Rocks for it, so like I tried to keep the number of pairs of shoes that I brought to a minimum. So like walking down the street was fun. It's like a little bit of a better view of like what the top looked like. Well within the Goth IHOP dress code per their HR department. Thank you. I mean, I had to get the spikes, as is mandatory. Black lipstick, mandatory. At least dark, if not black. But I had the black. Yeah, I really, really loved this. Hell's Revenge, oh my god. But I really enjoyed this outfit. This was really fun to put together, and I might just reprise this outfit just to wear because it was really, really comfy, actually. I felt badass as hell in it. And then you can see a little bit more of like the outside. and kind of see the new rocks down there. I couldn't really get a sense of the fishnet overskirt, but trust me, it's there. You need to have the proper amount of flare, of course. And I'm surprised I could see at all. It was so bright. And then so we walked around a bit, and did photos and stuff, and then I changed into angel dust for the evening. It says me and my angel dust. My hair was mostly cooperating, which is good. I realized because I've lost weight, I had to like put safety pins in the bodysuit and wear like, I wore modesty shorts because you never know when I don't want to have a wardrobe malfunction in public. But I'm still pretty happy with my Angel Dust cosplay, considering it's like I'm mostly just doing closet cosplays these days. And I don't wear pink, you know? If I wore pink, maybe I could be more accurate, but I don't wear pink. So fuck that noise. This is as close as I'm getting. And then I walked around with Angel Dust before we shot. And I got a shot with this amazing Lucifer cosplayer who, like, okay, those wings are incredible, but also the little duck purse is just the cutest thing. Like, they did such an amazing job. And the duck purse is just perfect. It is the absolute perfect thing to have. And quite honestly, like, I do not know how they got around with those wings. Did they make that duck purse, or was it good? I don't know. I just asked them for a picture, but I don't know. It's very good. I think it might just be like a good find, but they did such a good job on this like whole cosplay. Like, they've got the duck on the hat with the apple. Like, they did such an incredible job. And look at how happy I am. I'm so happy because I'm like, your cosplay is amazing. I will say one of my favorite things about Yeticon too, because it's the only convention I go to, being in public and having people compliment you on your cosplay is just such an unmatched feeling of just like, oh my god, like, people like the stuff I make. Hell yeah. Because like, I'm happy with the stuff that I make, and like, I appreciate everyone's, like, all of you guys make such like amazing, nice, sweet comments. And I'm not like denigrating that, but like getting like a stranger who doesn't know any of my stuff in person just be like, I like that thing that you made, is like so nice. Yeah, and it's also nice to like see, like, when you're cosplaying together, like visually seeing and like that other people like the same thing that you like because you're both cosplaying that thing, and being able to run up and be like, hey, immediately we have like a thing we can talk about that we have in common, that like we have a conversation starter just in what we're both wearing, is so lovely. And even if we're cosplaying different things, I can be like, well, I was gonna wear that, like a thing from that show tomorrow, or yeah, it can be a bit addictive in a bad way, but it's very good in moderation. Yeah, stranger validation can be really good. And I think why convention stuff is like particularly a good version of it is because it's people complimenting you on a thing that you've made. It's not just complimenting you on what your body looks like or complimenting you on something you bought, but it's something you put effort into. And like giving that appreciation. And like at conventions, like people get compliments for all levels of cosplay, from like beginner level, definitely you can tell it's their first cosplay, and you compliment the hell out of that as much as like the pros who have the huge complicated builds. Like it's so lovely getting to meet people and talking, and everyone's so sweet like immediately. And then I had this Alistair cosplayer who I met, and they were also lovely. They stayed in character the whole time, which was really fun. Like, they were nice about it, but they were like, oh, well, I guess I could take photos with you. I think their little joke was that, like, oh, well, I mean, I guess I can deign to appear on your modern technology. It was very fun. But they were lovely. They walked around. I think they were in that cosplay all that day, but I think I also saw them in it other days as well. But it's such a good cosplay. Like, the details on it are, like, so good. And then I got a Husker, because we're losers, baby. The Husker cosplayer was really sweet. They also did a fantastic job. The has-been characters, cosplayers were all so lovely all weekend. So, like, this is the kind of stuff I like, is like, we've never met before, we're already just like bonding over a thing together, which, like, that's the part of cosplay and conventions and, like, fandom, for lack of a better term, that, like, is the best. That's, like, why those spaces should exist, is for this kind of connection, rather than the, like, gatekeepy harassment, purity culture nonsense that happens sometimes, you know? But, like, the best parts of fandom are in person, and the worst parts are online. Like, you can get some good stuff online, but, like, and some bad stuff in person, but, like, having it not just all be online, I think, is helpful. And then, yeah, and then I went and I shot, which I can't show you anything from. Not on here. And, oh, what I can tell you, though, speaking of bad in-person experiences, yeah, heyo, bad in-person experiences is when we were done walking around, we went back to the hotel, because, like, we had food and stuff. Yeah, Isaac, you'll see. But I was originally gonna shoot some of Angel Dust by pool. But because of how, like, timing worked out, was there rope? Obviously, of course. No better bonds than those formed through bondage, right? But yeah, I was originally gonna start the shoot down by the pool and do, like, some, like, bikini stuff or whatever. Especially because, like, I wasn't able to do as sexy a posing with Donna as I initially intended, because there was a small child there the entire time. And I'm not gonna point my entire ass at a small child. But when we went down with the Angel Dust stuff, the hot tub was just filled with people at, like, 10 o'clock. Because it was open till 11, and I was like, oh, like, last hour. It's, like, you know, pretty cold outside. Everyone was at the hot tub. And I was like, okay, well, we'll just enjoy, like, an hour in the hot tub and then go upstairs and shoot in our hotel room, which is what I was going to finish the shoot with anyways, because it was going to be lewd. The name's Bondage. Yes, exactly. And so we got in the pool. We were just going to enjoy some time before going back upstairs, because we're like, ah, well, we can't shoot down here because there's, like, so many people. But that's fine. And so I got in the hot tub, and there was, like, it's a circle, so there's a big crowd of people here. There's, like, a couple people on the side here, and then there's 2 kids here, and so we're in the middle, because there's, like, a little middle podium with, like, a bit of seating. So we're in the middle, and also the jets have been horrific because they're, I think, set too powerful. When I was doing Donna, there was one point where 2, like, I don't know, like, 10, 12-year-olds came in and turned the jets on. They weren't in the pool area, came in, turned the jets on, and then just left. So the jet shot me in the face. I was like, fuck. because they were just they were like at the side shooting straight up, so it was a whole problem. So like the jets were a lot, and I was sitting in the middle to be away from them. And yeah, you gotta warn someone, yeah. And also, don't turn the jets on if you're not even going in the hot tub. Like, what the hell's the point? It's just annoying. Especially because they're like on a timer, so we couldn't turn them off. So I just had to kind of deal with it, which is fine. So we get in the hot tub at night. Yeah, hi Venters. Yeah, it's Doom. It's Doom Eternal. Yeah, some people's kids. But yeah, so speaking of kids, we're in the hot tub and we're sitting there, and then, you know, as people do because it's hot, they're like in the hot tub and they overheat and then they sit on the side. But these two kids, they must have been like, one of them had to have been like 13, 14. They were like older. He kept swimming across the middle and like throwing himself up on the podium, and it kept splashing me. And I got frustrated because it was splashing me a little bit, and then one time he full on just like fucking splashed me, and it like got the back of my hair wet. And I was like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? And we just moved to another part of the hot tub because I'm like, I don't want my goddamn hair wet. Like, A, I'm about to do a shoot, and secondly, my hair's white and we're in a chlorinated hot tub. I do not want my hair to turn green. I don't think that kid had the money to pay to fix it if he had turned my hair green. So then we're sitting up on the side, and to the left of me is like that, because we've gone around to the far side. So we're here, and that big crowd of cosplayers and nerds is here. And when we were sitting in the middle, like they were already kind of acting a little bit shitty. Where like the one guy sitting up on the center bit had been like splashing water into the one girl's dyed hair. But I'm like, whatever, it's their friend group. Like if she's not saying anything about it, she just like kind of like playfully pushed back at him, but like nothing major. I'm like, whatever, it's not my place to speak up for her if I don't know what her boundaries are. But I'm sitting there, and they're loudly talking about how one of them walked into one of the furry panels, and let's just say they heckled, and they used a slur they shouldn't be using ever, but especially not during Pride Month. And I immediately felt like I was in 4chan all of a sudden, and I felt so uncomfortable. And they were talking about fur F-slur, and were anyone in there normies or normal? And I'm like, bro, you're throwing slurs at an anime convention. You're the least normal person here. And I don't tend to make fun of people's looks, but I was telling Steph that like we could only see the main dude who was being shitty from the back. And I was like, man, all I can imagine is like a troll face comic on his face. And as I'm saying this, he turns around and I'm like, I was more accurate than I intended to be, actually. He just straight up looked like a troll face comic. And I'm like, that's unfortunate. And then at that point, while I'm like fucking seething about a homophobe, those two kids, like one of them pushes the other and just full on splashes me. And I'm like, I'm fucking done with this. I'm going back upstairs. So we were only in the hot tub for like 20 minutes, even if that. I'm sorry for the ad break. But So I'm also reading angering news, so that's fine. Gotta be more lurky now. Have a quota of job apps I'm trying to finish. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Lurky lurk, I appreciate you being here, even if it's lurking. Or for a short period of time, like just being here is great. Good luck on the job applications. Yeah. That's how the kids do it these days, which is actually kind of easier. But yeah, so that was super duper frustrating. The youthful heart. Like, actually kind of easier than... They're both fine, but this one I bend my thumbs back probably too much, and this one's a little easier. And also, this one, you can do this. Which I actually love. I love that you can break your heart and flip them off. But yeah, so I had a little bit of a negative interaction. I just left and was like, I just don't want to fucking deal with this. The most important quality of a heart hand gesture is to be able to flip people off. Like the K-pop heart is great. This heart's great, but this one lets you flip people off easier, and that's important. Oh, there's thunder. If my power goes out, you'll know why. There's thunder outside. But yeah, so I had that negative interaction, but then I went upstairs, did my shoot. It was great. Lucy, their partner, and Salt came back from partying, and we all kind of vibed a little bit before going to bed. Or no, I think Salt was just out for forever. They came back from other stuff. We chatted a bit, and then they went out again. But yeah, we had a good time. And then the next morning, I was Asterian, and I don't have a lot of BTS of Asterian. Just a little bit of like walking around the convention center, but I did get photos with this Gale cosplayer, which was really, really fun. And I went around doing photos. I got photos of me in the Yeticon waterfall, which is great. I got a lot of compliments of how nice I looked in the blouse I have for Asterian, and I didn't realize you can see my back tattoos through it, so that was cool to discover, because I really don't see myself from behind very often. And yeah, this Gale cosplayer is just fantastic. And then I also got, while I was going through the convention hall, because I went through Artist Alley and stuff, there was this Shadow Heart, and I'm pretty sure that's Halcyon. And they were also very, very sweet. So I had a really, really good time. And everyone cosplaying was so incredibly lovely. I'm gonna switch over to my other view. Ta-da! It's me! Because I gotta show you all the stuff I got in the Artist Alley. Because I got a few things. I had such a fun time, and also someone I knew that I haven't seen in years had a booth at Artist Alley, so it was fun to catch up. I don't know how many of you know Morgan Thorne, but she was... Hi, Lexi! Hi! You're just in time to see me share all the stuff I got in Artist Alley. But yeah, my friend Morgan Thorne had a booth. They did a lot of work for sex worker rights stuff. They were the first place. She ran the first dungeon I worked at when I started doing sex work, and they were so supportive of me when I was starting out. So it was nice to like catch up and see how they were doing. Yeah, I did not mean to run into them, or I didn't expect to run into them, because it's been pre-pandemic plus a couple years. It was so great to see them, but it was really funny because Salt had been telling me about this, because they had been to the booth, the Artist Alley before I had, like the day before, and was like, oh yeah, there's this booth that like has stuff and it's a little spicy, but they have stuff behind the counter that they can't display. And it turned out to be someone I knew. So when we walked up the next day, Salt was just like, oh, of course you know this person. Of course. But yeah, so I will share my haul of stuff now. So the first thing I got was a Umbreon plush, because Umbreon plushes are a thing I collect. Got an Umbreon. This one's so cute. It's so soft. I have so many Umbreons, it's ridiculous. And this is an old one from, I believe, the Pokemon Center. Yeah, it's from the Pokemon Center 2012. So I went to the Pokemon Center in 2019. This is like an older one, and it's got like, you know, like art on it of like all the different evolutions and stuff. And it's, there's apparently like sleepy ones that I don't have. That would have been really cute, but they have like the regular ones. Yeah, it's so cute. So I've got my little Umbreon. Maybe I'll stick Umbreon here with the Dino Boys. Kind of see them. We've got the Dino Boys and you got Umbreon. Let them stay. And I got another plush. I got a limited Gloomy Bear bunny that's like green and got like its ear been bit off. But like, I normally don't get Gloomy Bears because I don't like I'm not really into like pink. And I find the other one, the blood splatters look a little bit too brown for me. But this one, it's got like little purple splats and glowing eyes, and I love blue and purple and green, and it's like a little bunny. He's so cute. Also very soft, and it's like a limited edition one, I think. It's hard to say because all the writing on it's in not English. But yeah, little cute bunny. You shall also sit with the friends. Just the ears keep it from falling over. And yeah, it's very cute. I saw it hanging up. I'm like, no, I need that. I need that very badly. And then I got a metric fuck ton of pins and stuff. So I'll just go through these one at a time. So I got a sleepy Umbreon pin. So I don't know. Sleepy Umbreon with like little moon clip charm. I think the other side of it's shiny, I think. I'm not sure. I'm gonna be very blurry. Yeah, the other side's shiny. Whoop! This little shiny Umbreon. Little sleepy shiny Umbreon. And then from the same place, I'm pretty sure, I got a Cubone skull with flowers little pin, which is very much my aesthetic. I love like flowers with bones. It's such a good vibe. Especially like, that's sort of the vibe of my like one leg tattoo. I don't know how much you can see that because I cannot balance on one foot for very long. But yeah, it's got the like bones and the flowers and stuff. It's very much a me vibe. But yeah, that's by, pretty sure these are both about the same. It might not be. I've kind of like just shoved these all in a bag because they were all just kind of loose in my luggage, so I've just sort of been organizing them as I go. So I've got that. I've got these, which are all from the same artist. But I've got like a little, like kind of holographic mini Umbreon pin, and a little Cubone, and a like a metal shiny Haunter. It's all like kind of oil slicky. So I've got that. I guess at least I'll share so the first pins came from someone called Aki Dead. I don't know if you can see that. Camera, please. Camera, please. Yeah. And then the second set of pins came from this place. I'm just trying to like credit the artists because, you know, important. I think the Sleepy Umbreon pen came from somewhere else. I cannot tell though. Yeah, the name of it was on the pen. And then this place was some pins. This is a place that Salt got some stuff from, and like their like card is so cute. It's called Death Petal, but that is so adorable. And I got. They had like a pin version of this that was like con exclusive. That was the shiny one. But I got the little charm, so it's regular, ditto, and then shiny with a little knife. Little man. And then I got a Majora's Mask one too. So I'm very happy with all my little charms because I can hang those from my, I have like a little hammock for all my plushes. So that's where I'm gonna put all these, is in a little hanging from the hammock above my bed. And then I got one last thing, other than, you know, my big marriage thing. There we go. I'm a little less blurry now. I'm a little out of focus. Fucking camera, please. Focus out here. Thank you. This I haven't unwrapped from the bubble wrap yet. But this is something I wanted last year and didn't get because it had sold out before I got one. And this year I got this, and then I got another thing from that person for my sister. So they're the Happy Mask shop called Storm Cup Creations. So I don't know if you can, it's probably blurry. Yeah. Okay. Very careful. Don't want to break it. Don't want to break it. It's kind of expensive. But I got a Majora's Mask. Little wall hanging. Yeah. So I got. My sister's gonna be so mad that I got this one for myself, but I got her. She also likes Zelda and she likes bunnies, so I got her a little bunny hood mask. But yeah, I wanted this so bad last year, but they sold out before I got one. So I'm so happy. This is gonna go right up on my wall, with all of my creepy stuff. And it's so well made. This is definitely hand painted. And I say definitely just because like there's some paint on the back, so I can tell that they like, you can kind of see where the brush strokes were. Just so good. Yeah, got a little. God, looking at that on the monitor like is insane. This thing's so spooky. But yeah, so that's all the stuff I got. Let's fucking wrap this back up before I break it. But I got so much fun stuff. I try not to spend a lot of money. I just spent some money. But I feel like if you go to a convention, you have to spend money at Artist Alley. You don't have to spend a lot. But you have to get something. You have to support the artists when you're there. That's just the rules. At minimum, you have to buy like one charm or something. I wouldn't have felt like I got the true con experience if I didn't get at least one piece of art, you know? Oh, my eye is so itchy. But that was my Yeticon. I got so many beaver tails while I was there, and grilled cheese, and Had a fun time. I didn't run into as many of my friends there. Like, it was a lot of, like, passing stuff. I didn't see you, Lexi. I saw MJ briefly when she was doing her Barbie shoot at Sunset the first day. I only ever saw Gray from a distance. I did see Jules and Podge a couple times. I saw Christine and Jen. Though I don't think I talked to Jen because she was busy. Saw Paul, I think twice. But yeah, it was just like, I think everyone was just like super busy running around. If there is one next year, I'm definitely gonna try and see if we can go a day earlier, just so we have more time, and maybe have the shoots take up less time. And maybe I'll plan to do one like, because I always spend the week after at my parents' house for vacation, because it's easier than trying to take 2 weekends off work. Maybe I'll try and like aim to do a shoot there rather than doing all my shooting at the convention. Like, I can wear the cosplay but not worry about the shooting until after. Especially on the Sunday when you don't have the hotel room to change either. And everyone's fucking tired. But yeah, it was a really fun time. After we were done at the Artist Alley, I think we just, Salt wanted to catch up with somebody, and Steph got some photos of her Kiki delivery service cosplay. And then we headed back we drove off. I think we went to my parents' house and just laid in the grass for like an hour, waiting for everyone's phones to charge. And then used my parents' house as a place to change, so we didn't have to change in the car. And then everyone went back to Toronto except for me and Steph, and we spent a couple more days at my parents' house, which was lovely because they have a pool, so it was nice to cool off in the pool a couple times, and not as much as we probably otherwise would have, just because the thunderstorms meant we couldn't be in the pool. I don't mind swimming when it's wet, but I don't like swimming when there's thunder. But my parents' house is nice and cool. Had a lot of really nice food. Caught up with my dad, my mom. She was really nice. Left the mask I got my sister in her room. I hope she's not here so that I'm spoiling what I got her, but yeah, it was a really fun convention. I'm like really, really, really happy with the people I went with and the stuff we got to do. I definitely think though that like I need to make it more of a vacation and less work. I had intended to spread things out too, but because we got there late on Friday and then I was doing 2 things on Saturday, and then became 3 things on Saturday, so but yeah, I think I'm just gonna be like, I'll just shoot in the woods near my parents' house after, instead of trying to do everything at the convention center. Especially because if next year, I'll try and see if I can have my parents actually be there the whole time, rather than they were out camping half that week. Sorry about that. My boss texted me. But yeah, I had a really good time. It was nice to be out of the city and in the quiet. Even at the convention, it's like quieter than the city. And then afterwards, I think I just really needed that like de-stress time, and because it was also it's funny because it's always more socializing than I normally do. But in like little chunks, so it's never like super overwhelming, and because it's like still quieter, I still feel like way more refreshed. Like I feel so nice right now. I'm sure some of that's also the AC and the fact that it's not blindingly bright, but as you can probably tell, it's getting darker in here because it's very dark outside. But yeah, I had a really fun time. If Yeticon doesn't happen next year, I'll have to think about maybe going to a different convention at some point, but we'll see. We shall see. In the meantime, I also, when I was seeing my parents, got my eyes checked, and I'm gonna be getting glasses soon. Yay! And not because of my vision. I know, it sounds weird. What else are glasses for? So, I have 20/25 vision. I'm nearsighted, so like I can see things fine unless it's really far away, which is not really a problem because I also don't drive. And a chunk of that's just astigmatism. So like, apparently my eyes have trouble unfocusing when I'm looking really far away. And then I have the astigmatism, which doesn't help. So I could get glasses for that, but it would just make reading harder. And like, I don't have anything where I would need to be able to read 50 feet away. I just walk closer. It's not that big of a deal. So what I'm getting glasses for is the photosensitivity, because sometimes things are too bright for me to be able to see, but too dark for sunglasses. So, I got some frames picked out that I like. As they're looking at a wall of frames and trying to figure out what the fuck they should get, yeah. That was so difficult. I'm like, I've never had glasses before. Like, even my sunglasses were all just like, my dad had, like, my one pair of sunglasses I wear all the time, he got in the woods. He was mountain biking, and he found a pair of Oakleys just in the woods. Someone had lost them, and he was like, whatever, do you want them? And they fit my eye sockets perfectly. So I'm like, I've never picked out glasses, like, on purpose before, where I've, like, been like, okay, what frames do I like? So this was an interesting thing to sort of deal with. I knew I wanted more masculine looking frames, though these aren't like, I mean, I don't know what that means, but I was just trying to find ones that weren't like super round and make my face really round. Hi, Steph.
Getting freezing.
Okay.
Want one?
Yeah, it's very hot. But yeah, it's interesting to try and figure out what I like on my face, like thick frames or not thick frames, or how I like them sitting on my face, what color frames I want, and what we had to sit there and try different like lenses to see what like color filter I liked, and what like tint worked without it being super dark. So I think we found something that works. They'll probably show up in like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'll have to figure out getting into the woods to find them, or my parents will pick them up and then ship them to me. But yeah. I'm definitely excited. Did I get the white one?
Yeah, let me use scissors.
Okay. But they should help me deal with how bright I find like overcast. This is okay. Anything lighter than this and I can't see. And I have trouble with like light mode tabs on the computer. I have trouble like being in like department stores and stuff, like just like bright artificial lights like really hurt my eyes. And I know that if I just wear sunglasses all the time, I'll start to habituate to like it being so dark. Because my photosensitivity was a lot worse when I lived in basements and I was in the dark all the time. So, it'll be nice to have an option to wear that's like not my contacts. So like if I'm just going out, I don't have to like, okay. I don't have to deal with like, like everything hurting my eyes all of the time. But then it's also, glasses are easier to throw on than like, if I'm just like going to the store or going for a walk, I don't want to put my contacts in for an hour. That's like a pain in the ass. Especially because like my contacts are only reactive to UV, so that only works if I'm in the sun. That doesn't work if I'm like looking at, like if it's at night or it's artificial light or I'm inside and it's too bright, because if you have like polarized windows, then the UV doesn't come through, which is good. It means you won't get skin cancer sitting next to the window. But it also means that your transition lenses don't work. So it'll be a good time, and I'll be able to see. Freezy. It is way too goddamn hot. White freezies are also underrated as hell. I really do hope everyone's like keeping cool and stuff. I'm not horrifically melting. Nom nom. But yeah, I'm excited to have glasses. I'm hoping that I look good in them, because I've never worn glasses before, and I think the frames look good on me. I think we went for plastic frames because the metal frame nose bridge thing was like, I have a very bumpy nose, like right there, so it was like it had to sit in a very specific spot, which was kind of an issue. But when they come in, I'll show y'all. Nom. Freezy. Hell yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so I have to go to the bathroom now that I'm done my freezy. So I think I'm gonna run a longer ad break and do a BRB, a little PRB, and just gonna run the longer ad break just to get it over with and so that y'all don't miss anything. And then I'm not sure what we'll do when I come back, but we will figure it out. Probably just gonna keep chilling and chatting just because I think it's too hot for rope, and at least for right now. And maybe I'll find some like memes or something to share. That might be fun. But yeah, I will PRB, and I shall see you in a bit. Yeah. Hey y'all, I am back. And I have a thing I wanted to talk about, I think. I was like, what am I gonna do with the rest, with more of the stream? I figured we'd chat about some stuff that I think is important. Because I want my platform to be a place where we share fun stuff, but we also talk about stuff that's important. Like, for me, part of the reason why I like streaming is to be able to talk about how I feel about things and give people like a safe environment to like engage with like really tough topics with like nuance and compassion. And you know what's the opposite of nuance and compassion? Police! Yay! Again, I think we've had a conversation here before where I've mentioned that I think like the entire justice, big air quotes here, justice system is flawed and broken and doesn't work and is like primarily the problem more than any individual part. That said, if you're gonna do shit like this, maybe that one section's also just a problem on its own, right? Like, so this is an article that came out like 4 days ago. I just read it this morning, and I've read through this entire article, the thing that I think is important about this article, which I can also share the link in chat, actually. That might be a good idea. This is not paywalled, so you should be able to just check this out in your own time as well. But I think one of the important things I wanted to mention about this is that the involvement of like politicians in this, and I think less politicians, because I don't think it specifically names politicians as being actively involved, but it does mention that a CEO was able to just complain to the police and get the hate crimes unit to protect her business, and in ways that are like really inappropriate. And it kind of shows that certain people have an access to the policing system and power that the rest of the population does not, which is not cool. And I think it also shows how we have to kind of have like a nuanced understanding of what a hate crime is, and not just immediately, anytime something gets called a hate crime, just go like, okay, this is super bad and it needs to be censored or whatever, and like kind of have more of a nuanced understanding of like when people say or do things that might be offensive to us, which is kind of fitting because my local congregation had a lovely conversation on Wednesday about offense and freedom and stuff. But I figured we'll just kind of briefly go through the article and kind of talk about it afterwards. So inside the shocking police operation targeting pro-Palestinian activists in Toronto, a heavily resourced hate crimes unit has engaged in surveillance, night raids, and trumped-up charges against the Palestinian Solidarity Movement. Whee! The banging at the front door started at 5:30 in the morning. It was so heavy that on the second floor of the Mississauga, Ontario home of the Islay family, a bed began to shake. The Palestinian-Canadian family of 5 opened the door in late January to find several Toronto police officers with a warrant to arrest their eldest son. We were in shock, Sua Islay told The Breach in an interview. Did my son hurt somebody? Did he kill someone? Those were the thoughts that crossed my mind. Ahmed Islay, a 26-year-old elementary school teacher, was accused of participating in a demonstration that briefly halted traffic on Toronto's Gardiner Expressway in November. The protest against Israel's assault on Gaza had lasted for only 5 minutes. Okay. After waking up Ahmed, handcuffing him, and charging him with mischief, 8 police officers sat the family still in their pajamas at their dining room table. While they searched their home, the front door stayed open despite freezing winter weather, and the family's pleased police to close it. So what you have here is someone who did a protest, which is free speech, freedom of expression, and it only inconvenienced people for 5 minutes. I don't know about you, but I live in Toronto, and I've seen plenty of things that have interrupted the flow of traffic for 5 minutes that didn't matter and didn't involve the cops showing up. Like, someone jaywalking, someone having a mental health episode that needs help, and not from the police. I don't know, a elderly person taking longer to cross the road than the crosswalk blinky thing. Fuck, I've done that, where I've stopped the flow of traffic because I'm struggling to cross the street quickly. Or social distancing during COVID, people having to be in the road to get around each other. Like, that interrupts the flow of traffic for 5 minutes, and no one called that a hate crime or arrested anyone for it in the middle of the night, or froze their family in their pajamas in the winter. That kind of seems a bit unnecessary. I don't know about you. According to the warrant marked authorized to be executed at night, the items police were looking for included black pants, white Nike running shoes, and a keffiyeh. Our house is full of keffiyehs, were Palestinian, Sua recalled telling the police. The family, who immigrated to Canada in 2005 from Ramallah, maintained strong connections to their homeland. I have a poster of a Palestinian map. I asked them if they wanted that too. After the police left with Ahmad's computers, electronics, and clothes, the family discovered his room turned upside down. Drawers had been emptied onto the floor, his mattress was thrown off the bed, a vase was broken, and several boxes had been rifled through. It took us back to our life in the West Bank, Sua said, when Israeli soldiers raided our home. If you as a police service are being compared to an occupation, you've made errors somewhere. They may be foundational errors in ethics in establishing how your system works, but there's an error somewhere. Something's not gone quite right. Their family is not alone. Since October 7th, both Palestinians and non-Palestinians involved in common non-violent protests have been targeted in a sweeping, heavily resourced police operation that experts say has engaged in extreme overreach. Led by an expanded hate crimes unit and operating under the name Project Resolute, the police's tactics have included pre-dawn raids, snatching people on the street, trying to turn arrested individuals into informants, showing up unannounced at university lectures, and capitalizing on years of surveilling activist movements. And that is a thing you need to be aware of, is that any activist movement you're in could be, or probably will be, surveilled by police. So if someone out of pocket at an activist meeting is telling you to do some like fucked up illegal shit, that might be a cop. Policing scholars and lawyers say the Toronto police have undermined charter-protected rights of protest and expression by misapplying hate crime charges, with some saying the aim is strategic incapacitation of a growing Palestinian solidarity movement. Yet in several instances, months after the arrests and showy police press conferences, the cases are falling apart and charges are being withdrawn. That happens in sex work raids all the time. They'll do a big showy arrest where they parade sex workers in their underwear, and do a big press conference about how they're stopping trafficking, and then all of the arrests fall apart because they were just hassling girls trying to work. But in the time it has taken for the Crown to acknowledge that charges lacked a prospect of conviction, media headlines have caused significant damage to the livelihoods and reputations of those targeted. Kevin Walby, an associate professor of criminal justice at the University of Winnipeg and an expert on police tactics, called it the height of political policing. The police aren't acting to target everyone consistently, Walby said. It's driven by a pervasive anti-Palestinian sentiment among government officials, and it undermines the very idea of hate speech law when police apply the charges so selectively to serve political interests. And that's like a really important point, that if you are applying anti-hate like policies to one group and not equally, then what you're doing is not actually stopping hate, because hate isn't, no one group has a monopoly on hate. Like, sure, there's people with more privilege than others, but we live in a society, and intersectionality is a thing, and I've faced ableism from every possible group you could imagine. I've faced transphobia from every group you can imagine. Have I ever faced racism before? No, because I'm white. But, like, everyone has an opportunity to be shitty to another person. And being left-leaning is no defense against that either. So, and I think it's important to, when we're gonna have like hate crime legislation, that it needs to be focused on it has to be a targeted aggravating factor and not just, well, but you said something about this group, therefore we're offended and you need to go to jail over it or have your life ruined about it. Because, like, you know, I'm marginalized, I care about hate speech laws and things, but there's a line. I don't know exactly where that line is, but this is on the other side of that line, to throw back to the conversation we were having earlier. Shane Martinez, a Toronto defense lawyer representing multiple people charged in the protests, said the operation raises questions about the anti-Palestinian bias of the Toronto Police Service. The public should be outraged that millions of taxpayer dollars are being used not to combat actual hate crimes, but to surveil and repress one of the largest mass organizing movements seen in decades. Yes. Oh look, it's Toronto. That's the Gardner. I think that's the protest that they're talking about. Yeah, briefly halted traffic on the Gardner. Also, the traffic on the Gardner sucks ass the best of times, so it's like really not that big a deal. I think the music's still going. We're good. On October 7th, not long after news broke of Hamas's cross-border attacks on Israeli civilians and military bases, Toronto's chief of police, Myron Dimkew, posted a message on X. Quote, "I am closely monitoring the events in Israel with deep concern. The Toronto Police is not aware of any threats to Jewish communities in Toronto. However, we have increased our presence and visibility to ensure the safety of our Jewish communities and all residents. No such message of concern would ever be forthcoming for Toronto's Palestinian community, even as Israel launched its bombardment and invasion of Gaza, which to date has killed more than 37,000 Palestinians. It was an early sign of a one-sided policing approach. Several days later, Mayor Olivia Chow put forward a motion that would give police a central role in keeping Toronto safe from hate. A small meeting followed between the Toronto Police's Hate Crimes Unit, part of its intelligence services, and Chow's top staff and the deputy mayor. Also in attendance was Councillor James Pasternak, an aggressive defender of Israel who had previously tried to ban the group Queers Against Israeli Apartheid from the city's Pride Parade. Because some random ass cishet non-queer fucking councillor gets to say anything about Pride, of course. A week later, Chief Dimkew and the unit's senior officials participated in a major town hall organized by United Jewish Appeal. Police promised a similar event with the Muslim community, but did not respond to the breach's questions about whether it ever happened. And again, like, I will make this very clear. I do think that the Jewish community deserves protection from anti-Semitism and anti-Jew hatred. Because that is actually a problem that does happen. Anti-Semitism is a real thing, and it happens all the time. The core of almost every conspiracy theory I can think of is anti-Semitic at its core. And I do have Jewish friends who have mentioned that occasionally people have used like pro-Palestinian movements as an excuse to be anti-Semitic. That said, all critiques of Israel are not anti-Semitic. Most of them are not. Those are two separate things. You can criticize Israel without being anti-Semitic. And I say that to the people who think that Jewish people saying, hey, maybe don't bomb this other country in my name is like a problem. And also the people who think that they can hide their anti-Semitism and claim that they're just pro-Palestinian. Like, both of those groups need to like fucking chill out and realize what facts are. But that said, like, I want that security to focus on the actual problem, which is not people fighting against genocide, and focus instead on the more common problem, which is like white supremacists and far-right groups, or like the actual people that are making life unsafe in Canada for Jewish people, and it's not Palestinians doing that. It just isn't. And if I see a situation where that does suddenly become the case, like, I will be the first to call that out, but criticizing a state is not criticizing a people of that country, let alone criticizing all people of a background across the entire planet that don't even necessarily have any relation to that state. Like, we all know, if I say Donald Trump sucks ass and he should fuck off and his entire government is corrupt and dumb, we all know that I'm not saying that all Americans suck, right? I'm not being anti-American when I say that, like, the American government has problems. I'm not being anti-Canadian when I say that the Canadian government has problems. I'm not being, I don't know. It's a good example. I don't know, when I've criticized moves by the Chinese government, by the CCP, I don't think that reflects on all of the citizens of China. I don't think a government with power is the responsibility of the people that are subjected to that power, right? And I certainly don't think the way that the government of China acts reflects on people of Chinese ancestry that live in Canada. Like, so it's the same for me with Israel. Like, when I criticize the Israeli state, for me, I don't hold even Israeli citizens 100% responsible for that. No more responsible than any given Canadian is responsible for anything that, like, Trudeau does, or any given Ontarian is responsible for what Doug Ford does. You voted for them. Sure, you hold a little bit of responsibility, I guess. But ultimately the responsibility is with the person in power doing shitty things with that power, right? And I don't at all consider any Jewish person anywhere else in the world remotely responsible for that. And if you're going to protect Jewish people from hate crimes, you also have to protect Muslims from Islamophobic hate crimes also. Like, that's also a thing. I was alive during 9/11. I remember that whole era. Like, Muslims also deal with hate, and they also deserve protection and shouldn't be treated as if they are immediately suspect. Or, like, it is inherently Islamophobic to assume that a ethnic group from the Middle East is terrorists until proven otherwise, you know? Back to the article. Meanwhile, several other pieces fell into place that would reinforce one-sided policing. The Toronto police made a decision to empower the hate crimes unit, giving it leadership of Project Resolute. The unit grew from 6 officers to 32. According to a verbal report Chief Dim Q gave the Police Service Board in November, officers from other specialized units were drawn into the operation. And this is why defunding is, like, a thing. That's why the defund the police messaging exists, because a unit of officers that went from 6 to 32, and that 32 is biased against a minority group, is a problem. And those are resources that could have gone to, I don't know, homeless shelters or something actually useful in the city that's underfunded, or could have gone to fixing the fucking roof of the science center that's apparently now closing because it's been neglected for decades. We could just fix the science center. That would be helpful. In late October 2023, the mandate of the unit was also quietly expanded to include the investigation of any occurrence generated as a result of protests and or demonstrations related to the Middle East conflict. This stood out as a red flag to defense lawyer Martinez. Yeah! The fact that the police expanded its mandate to investigate Middle East protest activity that is not considered hateful or even criminal makes it evident that this movement was targeted because it was connected to Palestine, he said. They likely saw this as a major surveillance opportunity. And this right here, I want to highlight that. Welcome in, Lucy. I want to highlight that because this is a thing that happens not just in this situation, but is a widespread thing. When power tries to find a minority figure or minority group for whom it is socially acceptable to surveil and overly police, that doesn't stay contained. Because let's put it this way, okay, they surveil all Palestinians and all non-Palestinians that also are pro-Palestinian protesters, and then all of their friends and family, etc., and that expands into a web. And you don't know if you've done business or talked to one of these people, and now you're being surveilled to make sure you're not one of them, right? This is a thing that happens in sex work all of the time, where we're surveilled at the border, we're surveilled online. Everyone we do business with is surveilled or policed or targeted in ways that makes no goddamn sense, right? Like, we are where they practice their facial recognition technology that now they're unleashing on everybody else. All of the age verification that they've been doing for like adult content is going to be used on everybody else, and not just on adult content, but on all content, because governments, as soon as they get that taste of violating your privacy and your freedom for unjust reasons, that line's gone now. They've gotten onto the other side of the line. They're not going to find another one. They're beyond it, right? Like, there are good reasons why freedoms might be infringed upon when it violates the freedoms of one to maximize the freedom for everybody. Stopping me from having the freedom to punch people increases the freedom of everyone else in society to not be punched, right? Or same with like mask mandates and that sort of thing, right? So whenever you see an expansion of like surveillance and police powers, think of not just in the specific context of, well, but this person deserves it. Think of it like, okay, these are people who have not been yet arrested of a crime. Am I okay with this being used against me too? How could this go wrong? How could this run into problems without proper oversight? How could that oversight be corrupted, etc.? Like, surveillance is, I mean, there's a reason that most places have laws protecting citizens from like search and seizure without a warrant. Like, a lot of this stuff is happening without a warrant, meaning no judge has looked at it and go like, okay, there's evidence of a crime, or at least evidence enough to have us suspect that a crime is occurring, and this is a warrant so you can collect actual more evidence in a limited fashion. Not that that's even foolproof either, but like it's not, just because it doesn't affect you today doesn't mean it won't later. Yeah, exactly, Lucy. And like, if this is happening to a group speaking up against a genocide in one place, don't think that won't happen elsewhere. Don't ever think that expanded police powers will ever be limited to one group or one context. It will always be generalizable. That's how policing works. The Toronto police refused several requests for an interview and did not respond to questions from the breach. But one officer, who the breach is not naming because they were not authorized to speak to the media, said police had set up a fully integrated intelligence sharing model, getting fed information from RCMP's Integrated National Security Enforcement Team and CSIS, Canada's spy agency. That's not a good sign that the RCMP, basically our version of the CIA and the FBI, are like spying on peaceful protesters. I mean, I can think of an example of when the actual FBI and CIA did that in America on their own citizens, surveilling peaceful protesters just fighting for human rights. And I believe that's why we have Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So think about that for like 2 seconds. And if you're unfamiliar, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated by the FBI, and he was a peaceful protester. A lot of this stuff, like a lot of the alphabet soup people fucked with the Black Panthers as well. In fact, actually, that included entrapment of the group of Black Panthers that Tupac Shakur's mother was part of, and she successfully argued in court that it was actually the undercover police officers that were just encouraging them to do crimes, and not any of the actual Panthers at all. So that's little fun history fact. Dozens of other officers were soon deployed to fulfill the city motion's request to create community safety zones monitoring, protecting Jewish and Muslim places of worship. Will not allow the people of our city to be intimidated, DemQ pledged in front of city councilors at a police services board meeting in November while explaining the meaning of Project Resolute. Lest anyone try and misconstrue the meaning of the term, let me be clear. We are resolute in our mission to ensure public safety and security while also ensuring that the constitutionally protected right to free speech and assembly is maintained. But in the months to come, those rights would come under the crosshairs of the hate crimes unit. A socialist flag, a university lecture, a peaceful protest on a highway overpass, a nonviolent office sit-in, and posters and washable paint splashed on a bookstore all have drawn Project Resolute's attention and resources. In many cases, this attention has led to charges of hate-motivated crime or severe restrictions on subsequent protests. In mid-April, Samantha was walking along College Street after attending a protest at Union Station when a stranger suddenly grabbed her wrist. She shook him off and kept walking, taking her phone out of her pocket. You know, a normal thing you do when some strange-ass man grabs at you to protect yourself. He followed behind and grabbed her once again, slapping the phone out of her hand. "You can't do that, that's assault," she shouted, recalling the encounter in an interview with The Breach. That's when the stranger and several others surrounded her, announced themselves to be plainclothes police officers, and declared that she was under arrest. Plainclothes police officers shouldn't fucking exist. Period. Like an undercover thing, maybe, but just plainclothes officers should not exist. It is unacceptable that a random ass civilian looking person can put you in handcuffs or assault you. ACAB, yeah. This is why people say ACAB. Because if I don't know you're a police officer and you grab me, I should have full rights to beat the shit out of you to protect myself. Like, If she had turned around and hit him, she would have been arrested for assaulting a police officer, even though she had no idea that's what it was, and she would have assumed she was defending herself. Like, it is completely unacceptable for police officers to behave this way, and even if you're in uniform, you shouldn't be just grabbing people. You can inform people that they're under arrest or whatever, but you can't just fucking grab at people. That is completely unacceptable behavior. And nothing about that would make any woman in Toronto feel safe. I'm not even a woman, and that makes me feel unsafe. I don't want some random dude grabbing at me. And all that does is tell men or anyone else, oh, no worries. No worries. But yeah, all it does is anyone with bad intention can just pretend to be a plainclothes officer and hurt people. And that's unacceptable. Okay, we're about like halfway through. The arrest, she was informed, was for a peaceful sit-in she had attended at the Toronto office of AWZ Ventures 3 months earlier in January. Samantha is not the protester's real name, and the breach has agreed to keep her anonymous for fear of professional retribution. AWZ, an investment fund led by former Conservative Prime Minister Stephen Harper, is behind a facial recognition tech being used by the Israeli military to conduct mass surveillance of Palestinians in Gaza. What did I just say? What did I just say about surveillance? Oh, no worries, Steph. Lurky Lurk is fine and appreciated. I was told to let us leave a store once when I was a teenager by an undercover cop. I was playing with Nerf guns at 15. Yeah, that shouldn't be a thing. But this is also what I'm talking about. Like, this right here that I've just highlighted, that facial recognition tech, do you think that social conservative Stephen Harper and his company is only interested in genociding Palestinians in Israel? There you go. Yeah, Lynx, that's what I was saying. Is this is exactly what's happening to sex workers right now, and has been happening to sex workers. When I post stuff on the Lonely Fangs, I have to undergo facial recognition scans, and all of my photos are compared to those scans to make sure that the person in the photo is me and not anyone else. And if it detects someone else, then I have to tag that person or upload a model release form if they're not also a Lonely Fangs creator. OnlyFans. I'm not fucking censoring myself. Fuck that noise. This is also what happens at the border that gets sex workers kicked out. So they'll scan your face, and if you are known to have ads on adult advertising websites, you can be detained at the border, denied entry into America, even if the sex work you do is legal in both countries. Like, and you're not at all planning on working. Like, so you're not violating not having a work visa or whatever, like you're going over for vacation. You can still, it can still be a whole thing. And this is also the same facial recognition that's going to be used to age verify people. Like the stuff that's like, oh, don't worry, we're not going to look at your government ID. We're just going to scan your face and judge how old you are. Well, A, it's not accurate for certain demographics, including racial demographics, but like certain genders it also struggled with. But it's based off of this. Or it'll use facial recognition technology to make sure that you match your ID. That you didn't just borrow someone's fucking ID. It's these companies. It's the same companies. There's these biometric scanning companies and facial recognition companies that are pushing to have an expanded market. They start in military and rights violation, and then they expand to rights violating the rest of us. So like this right here, this is why we always say that like stuff is intersectional and that what harms one harms all. Like this stuff isn't isolated. And this facial recognition tech is used for protesters of all kinds. It's the same reason why I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Lucy, I think you were more up to date with this than I was, but there was someone who was trying to enter a building, and a lawyer was trying to enter a building and was escorted out by security immediately because of facial recognition that linked her to like one of the cases she had done had been against one of the companies in that building or something, or she had done like sex work related something, I don't remember, but it was something like that. Like this is not uncommon, and us losing privacy and being like facially scanned everywhere we go is real scary. Like I want to be able to just like go to the store and not have people know where I am. I don't like being doxxed by the government any more than I like being doxxed by 4chan. But also, yeah, fuck Stephen Harper and the conservatives, by the way. High-profile activists Desmond Cole and Anna Lippman were also arrested for participating in the same sit-in and released on conditions that prevent them from using devices to amplify their voices while attending demonstrations. To Professor Walby, picking off lead organizers is a classic tactic in the playbook police use against social movements. It's what we call strategic incapacitation of groups that threaten the political order. The tactics also include bogus or trumped-up charges, early morning raids, and surveillance and strategic intelligence to know as much as possible about activist communications. I think we are seeing all these techniques amplified by anti-Palestinian racism brought to bear on this transformative movement. Earlier in January, Toronto police took the extraordinary step of banning protests on the Avenue Road Bridge over Highway 401. Some Jewish organizations claimed the location had been chosen because of the large Jewish population in the area, but for the protesters, it was a convenient and highly visible spot. Yeah, I'll have you know, so Bathurst Street is known for having like a high Jewish population. Avenue is at the far extreme edge of that strip neighborhood. Highway 401 is the biggest road it's the widest road in North America. This is just a bridge over a fucking giant highway. No one lives at that intersection, actually. And like, sure, there are a higher density of Jewish folks in like this area of the city up like Bathurst Street, from I guess like Eglinton North, but like you can't just tell people they can't protest a thing in a certain neighborhood that is not itself anything. Like, what? It's so weird. Hesham Ali, a 36-year-old operations manager who lives a 5-minute drive from the overpass, was roughly arrested by police and charged with obstruction. Yeah, so a dude can't protest in his own neighborhood that he lives in because other people also live there. Like, that's so silly. Like, what? That's like saying I can't fucking listen to Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar because, like, if I walk through Forest Hill because fucking Drake's from there. Like, who cares? The Canadian Civil Liberties Association blasted the police ban as setting a dangerous precedent. Yeah, no shit. You can't just ban protest and that's legal from a particular neighborhood. If it's legal downtown, it's legal in every neighborhood. Like, what? In February, Project Resolute even made itself felt in the university lecture hall. Palestinian scholar Muhammad Ayash was preparing to deliver a presentation at York University. So this is nowhere near any Jewish neighborhood at all. When two uniformed police officers entered the room. When challenged, officers said that they had been called by the university to address a possible protest. But according to the breach's investigation, this wasn't true. In fact, York administrators revealed to a select group of professors that the police were acting on an alert from a special intelligence unit. The crown jewel of Project Resolute's operations, however, was its sustained focus on a protest against Indigo CEO Heather Reisman. In early November, Indigo's flagship Bloor store in Toronto was plastered with posters in red paint to protest Reisman's involvement in a foundation that provides millions of dollars every year to people who volunteer to join the Israeli military. Targeted for a reason related to the thing that's protesting. For 2 weeks, nearly 10 officers from the hate crimes unit worked full-time on the case, scouring social media and canvassing neighborhoods where the protesters lived for camera footage. Night raids followed involving more than 50 officers and a canine unit. They used tactics usually reserved for violent criminal offenses, arresting people in bed, handcuffing family members of those accused, and leaving doors knocked off their hinges. For peaceful protesters who just threw around some paint, Toronto police announced that the postering was being treated as a hate-motivated offense and said it was carried out because Reisman is Jewish, even though one of the accused, a professor at York University, is Jewish herself. When protests first started against Reisman's funding of Israeli military volunteers in 2006, the Jewish Women's Committee to End the Occupation were centrally involved. So, accusing Jewish people of committing anti-Jewish hate crimes is like, kind of shows that this is like disingenuous and like not based in any sort of fact. It's all feelings, no fact. At least 4 of the people who used paint and posters to protest Reisman last year were suspended from their jobs, others lost contracts, and others still were subjected to harassment on social media. As of early April, the cost of Project Resolute reached $12 million, though additional legal costs associated with the operations would likely increase that tally by millions more. Claims of political pressure have swirled around the Toronto Police's operations, with experts stressing that the police are not the only ones driving its politicized nature. Note the meeting with Olivia Chow earlier. The police are leveraging significant public resources and personnel, said Walby. That's only possible because everyone from Olivia Chow to Doug Ford and Justin Trudeau have been pretty supportive. There's a broader formation of elites whose views are animating what the police are doing. In January, the day before Toronto's police chief declared a ban on the Avenue Road protests, he met with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. When Trudeau was pressed by the media about what he had said to Chief Demkew, he only said the federal government does not have any line of command over the decisions taken by the Ontario and Toronto police. Which is true, but Trudeau kept saying, shit about how, he went off on that one dude that dressed as Spider-Man climbing on Mount Sinai Hospital and calling it, a hate crime, and that it's, a shame that, these anti-Jewish protests are happening, and he's leaning into that rhetoric. My dude, that Spider-Man guy climbs fucking everything. There's pictures of him from that entire protest climbing light poles, the Eden Center. He climbs fucking everything. And all protests go down University Avenue because it goes right to Queen's Park, which is for those who aren't Canadian, Queen's Park is the head of the Ontario government. It's in Toronto. And it's at the end of a road that is colloquially known as Hospital Alley. So it's not just that Mount Sinai is there, but Toronto General, Toronto Western, Sick Kids, there's a bunch of hospitals all down that street. And fun fact, It was started as a Jewish hospital because of segregation back in the day, but it is now a non-segregated hospital that serves everybody because it's a fucking public hospital. I have a specialist there. My geneticist is at that hospital because that's where the geneticist in the city is. Like, I don't know. Should you really be climbing on a hospital? Probably not, but it's not a hate crime. Because it's not like he was targeting that particular hospital because it's Jewish. Like, any more than, like, I don't know, was that light pole Jewish? Is the Eden Center Jewish? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure claiming that everything is Jewish is its own fucking problem. So, it's not like the police haven't... There isn't, like, a constant systemic bias that politicians are contributing to, whether they have direct lines of command or not. It's not just political figures who are suspected of giving prompts to Toronto police. The same day that Indigo was plastered with posters protesting her support for Israel's military, CEO Heather Reisman made a phone call to Toronto's chief of police, according to a police source. To Walby, the example is telling. It shows some elites have instant access to upper echelons of the police, Walby said. The police aren't being directed and they're not taking marching orders, but clearly they are taking cues, they're taking advice that reflects a certain set of political interests. This is access and power that any other Canadians do not have. And I agree with that. And I mean, anyone who has had to call the police for any reason in Toronto can tell you that, like, while police may not be commanded by certain people to behave a certain way, they're rubbing elbows and bumping shoulders with particular people all the time and not with regular people does influence their priorities. Because let me tell you, there was one time the police were called because a person was assaulting Steph, because Steph had intervened while they were being incredibly racist to an Asian girl who seemed incredibly uncomfortable and just wanted to get out. So Steph intervened. This dude was threatening to physically assault her, me, anybody who called the police. It was a whole goddamn thing. And we called 911, and 911 hung up on us, and nothing happened for like 40 minutes. Even though on the way to the fucking pizza place, we walked by a police car. We knew there was someone that was like a 3-minute walk away. And they never came. Hi, Illy. But no one came. Until the owner of the pizza place called the police and said it was disrupting their business. And then the police showed up. And it was fucking annoying. I remember that story. I hate the cops. Yeah. Like, it's frustrating that someone being assaulted wasn't a priority, but a business being affected was. That you're more likely to have the police care depending on what you look like, who you are, how much money they think you have or you do have, your resources and your relative privilege. Like, biases come out in policing, whether it's intentional or not. Like, I certainly know there are certain situations that I've gotten police help for and other ones I haven't, because I knew in certain situations I wouldn't be taken seriously. Right? So, like, this is not like a secret. This is like common knowledge for people who live in the city, that there is police bias and that certain people are prioritizing policing. Like, if your house gets broken into and you live in St. Jamestown, one of my old neighborhoods where everyone's poor, the police will not care as much as if you live in Rosedale or Forest Hill. They just won't care. And even if it's not a conscious decision, it's still, there's some bias and prejudice and systemic priorities at play that affect a lot of this stuff. Reisman spoke to police again in late November. The next day, Toronto police added a new charge to the accused, criminal harassment, which is behavior that causes a victim to fear for their safety or the safety of anyone known to them. It carries the potential sentence of 10 years in jail. So, people were arrested, and then she called them, and they got an added charge added. And also, how is someone making you fear for your safety if all they've done is put washable paint on a store you own? They didn't even damage anything. Like, huh? The day after the 11 accused in the Indigo case were arrested, one of the individuals was interrogated in detention by a hate crimes unit officer. The officer revealed that police had been monitoring No One Is Illegal, the migrant justice organization that some of the arrested were members of. "We were watching you," the officer told the individual. While police have relied on long-standing surveillance of movements, newcomers to activism have also been caught in Project Resolute's web of attempted surveillance. Cyrus Reynolds, a 34-year-old construction worker attending protests for the first time in his life, was arrested on Avenue Row the day after protests were banned. After being released from the police station, Reynolds said he was approached by a detective who asked to speak to him in a side room. The detective, who told Reynolds he was with the intelligence unit, urged him to join a confidential informant program and to share upcoming dates and locations of any Palestinian solidarity actions. He told Reynolds that he couldn't make any promises, but in return he would try to help him out with his charges. "Make sure you don't tell your wife about this. I'm married too, but I don't tell my wife everything," Reynolds recalled the detective saying. Reynolds told him there was no way he would be an informant. Yeah, telling you to lie to your significant other, that's probably not a good sign. And that's a thing that'll happen, is like interrogating people into being informants. So you always got to be careful about who you say things to. In the middle of the proceeding, the Justice of the Peace delivered a stern rebuke to the Crown Prosecutor. It was late April, and the Crown had agreed to drop charges against Majid Samai Hillel Al-Khalaf, a 41-year-old sports instructor. Back in January, he had been charged with publicly inciting hatred for flying the flag of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, a Marxist-Leninist party with a military wing and several legislators in the Palestinian parliament. But 3 months later, the Crown was withdrawing the charge because there was no reasonable prospect of conviction. Yet the Assistant Crown Attorney had made a statement at the hearing that the police had legitimate concerns the flag could incite hatred towards Jews, and that Torontonians should be put on notice that flying it may very well be met with further arrests. Justice of the Peace Robert Scheuer looked taken aback. "I must say that's an extremely concerning statement to put on the record while withdrawing a charge," he said. Police were clearly scrambling to save face. They've done that in other cases also. Like that guy who got arrested for hitting a cop with his car and they lied about what happened. Yeah, they do that. They lie on the sand or they'll say shitty things to save face, and there should be consequences. Police officers have positions of power and they should be held to a higher standard. At the time of Al-Khalaf's arrest in January, Chief Demkew had confidently declared the flag illegal and called the charge unprecedented. He told CBC that police have never laid a charge of this nature. To Martinez, who was Al-Khalaf's lawyer, this smacked of political opportunism with bias clearly at play. It's not like the police have been laying charges against people flying the Confederate flag, which is often associated with hate groups and white supremacy. But suddenly they were motivated to charge someone for flying the flag of a Palestinian organization without first doing any research. That's a good point. Like, there's a lot of, like, the frickin' police didn't do anything about the convoy protests, even though there were hate group flags there. No one does anything about that. Left and right, the police arrests were falling apart. Charges against all the individuals arrested in the Avenue Road protest were withdrawn almost immediately. A defense lawyer told The Breach that someone within the Crown's office had said the collapse of one case had Demkew pulling his hair out. The Indigo case was going no better. After making a media splash during the arrest, the Crown's case was disorganized, languishing under several delays. As of early June, they had not yet provided key documents to the defendant's lawyers to explain the basis for the police's search warrants and night raids. 4 of the 11 accused had their charges dropped, yet again because of no reasonable prospect of conviction. At the court hearing, a lawyer for one of the defendants, Mike Leetold, said there was not a scintilla of evidence to support the allegations of hate motivation. At a press conference the following week, Leetold added that he believed all the rest of the charges in the Indigo case should be dropped. Police came into homes across the GTA and invaded their sanctity in ways that were highly traumatizing. All for what? For paint and posters, Leetold said. Use of paint and posters to freely express our dissent is a time-honored tradition, one we see as part of the cut and thrust of urban life and the vibrancy of the city's fabric. And it is all the more important to protect when criticism of Israel's war in Gaza is being suppressed. To criminalize this sends a very chilling message. As for the Islay family, they told The Breach they are still shaken by their encounter with the police. For weeks after their home was raided, they found it difficult to sleep. In May, the Crown finally drops its charge against Ahmad Islay, saying pursuing it would not be in the public interest. That doesn't change the damage done to the family. Ahmad's arrest, covered across the media, was broadcast on the large television at the local YMCA where he used to teach kids to swim. Colleagues at the school where he works heard about the arrest too. How did my son deserve something like this? They treated him like a criminal, his mother Sua said. We immigrated to Canada so that our kids would not suffer here like we did in Palestine. And that's why I say no one should be treated like this, including criminals. Even if they're guilty of horrific things, there should be minimum good treatment for all human beings. And plastering people's faces before they're actually convicted of anything should not be a thing. The Toronto police still haven't returned several of Ahmad's things, including his phone, jacket, kithya, as well as his pride possession, a drone. He used it to shoot videos in the community and to build a fledgling freelance business when not teaching. He's waiting to get it back so he can again start documenting the Palestinian solidarity movement. That's probably why they're not giving it back. Despite the efforts of Project Resolute, the protest movement is not letting up. There's a genocide happening, Ahmed said. I want to film the vast numbers coming out to show support for Gaza. I want to get the word out. So, that's the thing. That's the article. Yeah, I just wanted to share that because I think it's important to use my platform to share stuff like this. Like, I don't speak a lot about the situation going on in Palestine and Gaza just because there are people more informed and more eloquent on the topic than me. Like, there are people who are Palestinians whose voices matter more, and people who have been doing who've been involved in this topic for a very long time. And I don't think that I should take up space, and I should instead amplify those people. But this is something that's like local and affects us here. And I wanted to share that was a thing that was happening and some of my thoughts on it because it intersects with a lot of my own understanding of issues with surveillance and unequal policing as a sex worker and as a trans person, and things that I've just observed over my life. As we're going to start in like a minute, I'm just going to vamp for a bit, so don't worry, you probably won't miss anything majorly important. But yeah, I don't like increases in police power without really strong safeguards, and even then, for me, the way that our police system is set up is very punitive and carceral, and really they won't do anything, and I feel that people are weaponizing them even more. The thoughts, yeah. All of this is very infuriating. Yeah. And like, people should be allowed to say when they don't like something. They shouldn't be able to say they wish a group of people shouldn't exist. Like, the conversation that we were having about offense earlier, on Wednesday with my local congregation. I think the way I had put it was that I draw a line between offense for existence, meaning when people are offended that I am trans or that I am a Satanist. The only way for me to stop offending them is to not exist as a person anymore. Stop being who I am. And that's unjust and unfair. And then there's offense because of actions and behavior. So like being offended because someone is actively bullying you. Or being offended because someone is a white supremacist or spat at you or whatever. Like, I don't think most offense should be covered by free speech up until the point where it asks others not to be who they are in a like identity way. But like with hate crime legislation, I think of how I don't particularly like being called slurs. I've been called slurs before. I'm sure it'll happen again. And I don't want to see people calling people slurs. That's awful. On the other hand, I see like the whole turf is a slur thing and transphobes acting like being accurately identified as hateful towards a group of people is the same as being slurred for who you are. And that being taken as if it's a position made in good faith, which it very clearly isn't. And I don't really know how to set up a society where like we can be like, okay, yes, no hate crimes, and not have it then be taken advantage of by people who will then claim the marginalized are hating the oppressor for daring to say they hate being oppressed. You know what I mean? Like, you're allowed to hate behavior and actions and not inborn identities, you know? I get so frustrated. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to balance and be like, well, these are rules that make sense and work if everyone's approaching them in good faith. And then as soon as you get a bad actor, like, I don't think you can really make a system that's immune to bad actors taking advantage and finding loopholes and stuff. But I'd err on the side of not giving the random people with guns more power to surveil and violate our privacy. Because if you sacrifice your security for safety, you'll end up with neither. And that's a lesson that should have been learned during the whole Patriot Act shit in the US after 9/11. It should have been. We all know that, like, sacrificing our freedoms for safety at the airport doesn't work, because we're not more safe. We're just more harassed. Like, sure, no one can hide something in their shoe, I guess. Not that anyone ever did that successfully. But now the planes fall out of the sky, and who's checking for that? Where's the metal detector for the fucking door falling off? Or the landing gear falling off? It's just very, very frustrating, and I would like it to stop. I would like things to work. And I feel like the majority of us can see, like, we can see what's happening, and we understand what the problem is, and we understand that the things that are happening don't make any fucking consistent sense. And yet we still have to deal with these people who are, like, pretending like they have a point. And pretend like their argument's in good faith and it's worth our time arguing back against. And it really just isn't. And I've been dealing with that for the last couple months in like another part of my life, and it's really frustrating. But yeah, at the end of the day, surveillance policing is bad, and you should oppose it every single time you see it happen, because it only ever gets worse. I hate all those people. Yeah, like I get so frustrated and disheartened because it diverts us from the actual productive work that we want to be doing and has us deal with this other issue instead. So instead of like actually supporting Palestinian people, we have to fight for our own free speech and free expression and our rights to protest in our own country before we can even do that properly. Or like instead of like, I don't know, building a more just society, we have to deal with all of these people that are like, well, but I don't want to wear a face mask. It's like, we could have used the momentum of COVID to get like universal work from home and better health care and better ventilation. It shouldn't have happened, and I've honestly lost a lot of faith in what we were trying to do. I'm gonna have a chat with you or someone else in Temple about it, but I'm just so fucking pissed. Yeah. Feel free to talk to me about it if you want, or like there's plenty of people to talk about, but I know what you mean. It's exhausting. I don't want to keep having the same goddamn conversations over and over and over again. I want to actually fight for a better world. I don't want to argue about what the right word is every time for a thing. Because, well, just to use an example, like, oh, well, we don't use transsexual anymore. It's transgender because it's slightly more nuanced. And it's like, I don't care. I don't care what a 50-year-old trans woman calls herself. I care that she has access to fucking health care. And housing and human rights. Thank you, honey. Thank you. I will let them go down a little bit. But like, I don't care. I don't care if someone like doesn't have the most nuanced word for whether I'm disabled or doesn't get my gender right away. I care about having access to my fucking rights and being able to live my life the way that I want to. Like, I don't care how we get there. I just want it to not be this fucking hot all of the time. And I want it to... I don't want climate change to keep fucking steamrolling and making the world unlivable. I don't want billionaires to suck all the money out of everything and leave people unable to afford groceries. I don't want people to never be able to afford homes. Like, it's so tiring to constantly have to be like, okay, well, instead of the actual important conversation, which is the genocide in Gaza, climate change, income inequality, that sort of stuff. We're just constantly going back to these same conversations over and over and over again about like unjust policing. Like, we knew this was a problem in 2020. We knew about this was a problem in the friggin' 80s, 90s. Like, this knowledge predates my even being born. Why do we keep having to fucking figure out that maybe rampant surveillance is a bad idea and silencing protests, trying to fight for human rights is a bad idea? Why do we keep having to fucking have this conversation every goddamn generation? Like, it's so exhausting. I started in this to do good, and it seems a lot of evil slipped through the cracks, and I feel like a lot of it could have been prevented. I'm tired of putting my faith in people and having them keep fucking up. Yeah. I mean, as far as like the temple stuff, I'm not gonna get like super into it on stream, but that situation also was just like a lot of people who wanted to be seen doing the right thing anything rather than actually doing anything. It was very performative and wanting to have their, like, the little thing next to their name rather than actually doing the hard work. And those people being in positions of power where it prevented a lot of people from holding them accountable. I understand there are good people, I get that, but the evil people stand out the most. You're right, because evil, we're biologically primed to notice when people hurt us so that we can avoid it in the future. Like, psychologically, it just does stand out more. And it's also, people who do good will play by the rules, right? At least when those rules are good and just, right? Like, we'll have our social contract, and we'll all be like, okay, I'll wear a mask to protect you, you'll wear a mask to protect me, great, cool. Like, I'll walk on the right side of the sidewalk going this way, you'll walk on the right on this side, and we won't hit each other, great, cool. We all understand, we're good people, great. And it runs smooth and effortless, and it's fantastic. And then you get the asshole who's like, no, I don't want to wear a mask. I don't care if it protects both of us. Fuck you. I have a right to infect you and get you sick. Or I don't care that you're walking on the right side of the sidewalk. I have a right to walk right down the middle and bump into everybody and just be a pain in the ass. And that's what's disruptive. And it means, like, it doesn't matter how much walking on the right side I do. It won't make that person in the middle not bump into me. Me walking on the right means that I don't bump into the people who are also walking on the right, right? But as soon as someone's like, fuck you, I don't care about the rules and I don't care about anyone else, it disrupts everybody, and it's impossible to deal with. Or, like, you know, a lot of rules will be written assuming people are going to follow the system. Like, okay, well, if you make a mistake, we'll sit down and we'll have a conversation and, like, figure out what's going on, and we'll gather evidence and present it and whatever, and make sure we don't overreach. That works when someone's made a genuine mistake. But if someone's, like, actively malicious, sometimes you just have to immediately go, like, no, I'm kicking you out immediately. I'm not waiting to, like, deliberate with other people. I'm using my position to kick you out before you steal a whole bunch of data or hurt somebody. Like, sometimes you just have to be able to kick someone out of the party because they're drunk and throwing hands at people without being able to, like, collectively have a conversation with the community, right? But then there's also times where you don't want one person to just constantly be the one person who says who can and can't come to the party. You want to be able to bring your partner. You want to be able to bring your shy friend who the host might not know, but you know, and you know they're a good person. They're just, like, really shy and socially anxious. You don't want to have to fucking have a goddamn whole shindig if they say something slightly socially awkward. You don't want them to be immediately kicked out because they said something awkward, where if you actually talk to them, they'd be like, oh, I didn't mean it that way, I'm really sorry. You don't want them to just be immediately thrown out. But the drunk person throwing hands needs to be tossed out immediately, and it's hard to balance those things. And I think, not to get into it too deeply, but I've seen this happen in Temple. I've seen this happen in plenty of leftist activisty spaces, public and not, where someone gets themselves in a position where either they are the one who gets to control who gets kicked out and who's not, so no one can kick them out, or they make the process so convoluted that, well, you have to have 8 meetings in order to kick this person out. So they have all this extra time to do harm after they've been found out because you can't kick them out. People can't see the difference, though, and that's upsetting. Yeah, I think also, like, sometimes the difference isn't obvious right away, where, like, it's hard to know whether someone's saying a slur, like the R word. That's a word that's really commonly used in rural areas because people don't really realize it's a slur. There's a difference between someone who's using it because they grew up in that environment and, like, doesn't realize it's a problem, and you go like, hey, don't use that word, and they go, oh, I'm sorry, and they try and do better. And then the person who like doesn't give a shit, right? Sometimes you'll be like, hey, don't use that word, and they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. And you're like, oh, okay, so I did the first step, and they backed off. Okay, so they're not someone you need to boot immediately. But then they say it again later, and you're like, are you actually making a mistake, or do you just not care to get better? And it's hard to figure that out until it's happened over and over and over again. You're like, start to see a pattern, and you're like, am I crazy, or are they just really not trying, right? And like, it's clear when the person says, fuck you, I don't care. And it's easy when someone says, oh, I didn't know, and immediately changes. It's those like spaces in the middle where you're like, I'm not sure how to approach that, and I don't want to seem like I'm overreacting to a case that doesn't need it. It's just like, it can be complicated sometimes. And I think a lot of the issue is like, everyone only has one little piece of the puzzle, and if those people with the pieces are kept separated, they can't put the puzzle together. And they can't go, oh, this has been a problem. Like, there's been situations in Temple, not in Temple, in my own personal life, where someone was a broken stair because they were hurting people, but everyone just thought it was because something they did, that they fucked up, or they hadn't communicated clearly enough what their boundaries were, or something. And it wasn't until one person said something publicly and went, I don't think this is okay how they treated me, actually, that everyone went, oh, it's not just me, and added their own little pieces. And then you see the whole pattern of behavior over the course of like years, and you're like, oh, no, it's not just me. And then again, you get malicious people who are able to hide those malicious parts of themselves to power or to key people in order to have continued access, or to have character witnesses. They groom their witnesses as much as they groom their victims, right? And like, I do get what you mean. That it's like, it's hard to see it happen and to face the brunt of it over and over and over again. But like, I don't know. It's difficult. I may just need to be exampled what's going to change and how I'll stop bad people from entering, but I think I'm done at this point. The thing I can say about Tempo, because again, like, I'm under NDA, so I can't say everything publicly, but the thing I can say is, leadership positions are going to become a lot more difficult to achieve. By a lot. I am very happy that we're having conversations about adding training for ministers, so that we're not just doing a course and then thrown in positions of power over our congregants, that we're getting training on how to deal with mediation, de-escalation training, diversity and inclusion training. The people who are hitting the crossfire, I don't know. This might have to be something we talk about like off stream, because I'm not sure how specific I can get like on camera in public. But I will say that balancing things is hard, but it's not impossible. And there is a playbook of disruption that has been used to infiltrate and mitigate left-wing organizations for a very long time. And those same plays have been used by leftists to grind bureaucracies to a halt that are also harmful. But because they've existed for a while, there are known strategies to deal with them once you identify that's what's happening. So we're gonna do what we can. These mozzarella sticks are good though. That's good at least, yeah. And also, one thing I will say, Lucy, is if you have any concerns that you want to have addressed, I want some too. Yeah, here, I'll give you one. Here, num num. There you go. Mozzarella stick just for you. But if you have any concerns and you want me to bring them forward, like, let me know. Because I am fully able to share concerns from people. Like, if there's like a specific thing, even if you can't, yeah, definitely let me know. Even if you can't like articulate how you want it to change, if you can be like, okay, this is a thing I'm like really concerned about and I want people to keep in mind, like, let me know. Preferably in some sort of written format if possible, or just like let me know and I can like try and make notes or whatever. And I can bring that forward to people. And I think a lot of what makes a lot of this damaging, not just like what you're talking about, Lucy, but also, sorry, my fucking laptop is dying. But also with like negative policing is people in positions of power intimidating people, and making key moves to disenfranchise people from speaking up. Then if we can't speak up together, then it stops us from ever being able to solve the problem. And we have to encourage each other to speak up. And I'm not saying that it's your fault or not. Like, I've definitely been in positions where, like, I haven't. There are things that I feel like, in retrospect, I wish I had said something. But I know in situations where I've come out about broken stairs that, like, as soon as I said something, floods of people came forward about how that person had harmed them too. So a lot of times it's just like having one person brave enough to stand alone and say something, and then a crowd of people will join them. And it's really scary, and we need to have a system set up so that it's easier for people to say things, without necessarily having to risk standing completely alone first. But I will say, Lucy, the speaking up that you have done has been really important and has really helped. So thank you for that. Don't think that the things that you've done haven't been important. Yeah, you're awesome. In this situation and other situations, you've spoken up about things you don't think is fair a bunch of times in ways that's been like really helpful. It's a good thing to have as a trait. Bye. Nah. I love you too. You're a good bean. Also, I don't think you were here when I was going over the Yeticon stuff, but I want to show you a thing. I love you too. Oh yeah, napping is totally fair. But I was sharing everybody like behind the scenes pictures, and I shared this one of us, and it's so cute. It's so cute. Could be streaming at like 8? Okay. Look at how cute you are. You're so cute. Send it to me? Okay, I will. I will. But, you weren't here, but, Sec Lazarus, one of our fans, was saying how good your cosplays are, and people were gushing about how cute you are. So, even when you're not here, people think you're awesome. And I needed you to know that. I needed you to know that you're appreciated, and people say good things about you even when you are not there. You're a good human being. Here, I sent it to you on Discord. You're welcome. You're a cutie. And I was telling everyone how good your Pomni was too. Your Pomni this weekend was like amazing. And I'm so happy we got to spend all that time together. Because I love you. And I like seeing you. That hat was a pain though, yeah. Something that might help if you want to wear it again. I was getting like a headband and attaching it to a headband. Because then it'll just like sit there and it won't come off. And you can even not have it permanently attached. You can just make like loops so you can like loop a headband through to put it on your head. Yeah, I have to do that for my horns all the time because shit always falls off my head. But headbands are a good time. And you can get it like close to the same color as the wig even, or get like a black one. I have a bunch of them. Yeah, headbands are great. I do that a lot, especially with my heavier horns. That I pin them onto a headband so it doesn't like slide off my hair as badly. I thought I was getting 3 headbands, but then I got like 50. I mean, the benefit is if one of them breaks, you have more. And I break them all the time, unless they're like metal. So if you need a metal headband, I mean, I wouldn't be against having a spare. Because right now I only have one. Are they black ones, or what color are they? Black, gold, and silver? Hell, I mean, if you have 50 of them, if I could have one of each, that would be real nice. I'm so goddamn hot in here. I can do that. Thanks. Thanks, bestie. Mozzarella sticks are just so good. Mozzarella is not the best cheese in the world, but mozzarella sticks are just so OP. I think I'm actually gonna raid out because I have had a long day. I'm very hot and I have work soon. It's been a nice long stream. It's been nice hanging out. I am gonna raid out though, so stick with me while I raid. I'm very tired, and I've been streaming for like almost 4 hours, and I'm a sleepy sheepy. I want to finish dinner, and yeah, you have to get ready for your stream. Yeah. I'm gonna raid out a friend who I didn't get to see at Yeti because I didn't run into everybody, but I believe Salt said hi. What is he playing? They're playing retro fighter games right now. Oh god, I'll wait until the ad break ends. Jeez, I'm sorry. Should have snoozed that fucker, but I forgot. Yeah. We're gonna raid Polly. We're gonna raid Polly Moonang. And I need you to be kind and nice and supportive and lovely. Come on, ads. Almost done. Almost done with raid out. I was trying to raid before the ad, but you know, my timing is horrendous. I will get better at this. Yeah, so we're gonna raid out. And I'm sorry I mistimed it and we had to do another ad, but we're gonna raid out, and I want you to be nice and kind and say hi, and let me do a raid message, because I never do raid messages. Okay, that's gonna be your raid message. We're gonna raid in, and if you don't have my emote, then just use Twitch has lovely heart emotes, and you can use those ones, and they're great. And yeah, so we're gonna raid Polly, and I am streaming every other week. I'm doing Fridays and Friday afternoon and Tuesday evening. So I will keep you all posted, but we should be streaming next Tuesday. We should be streaming next Tuesday. I love you all so much, and I hope you have a good rest of your night, and I appreciate y'all for being here. Goodbye. I love you.